Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Now, speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Joseph Pizarro, Sampson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick, Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith and David Wayne Foster. So a huge massive thank you again to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Also below this video there is a link to get £50 back for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. With that, I'll hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show. Remind me.
Tangible, intangible.
Not the show, wasn't that Monday's show?
What was yesterday that we had? Maybe it was. Let me see. I just listened to the replay. Maybe that's what's in my head.
I think you're a day behind because you're talking about the Uncut and After Show, which yesterday's Uncut show was Monday's show.
There you go, my notes. I'll tell you. I may have listened to a replay and thought it was yesterday's show. Tuesday's show. Here we go.
Hey, George, and hey, Steve.
Morning, guys.
That was yesterday's show. Rumpus, Globe side claims it's tangible, has been touched.
Maybe it was yesterday. Excuse me.
Or we could have just reviewed it yesterday.
I know you take notes, don't you? So if you say it's
yeah, but it's like got it written down.
Good day, good day.
Hello. Is that Redman?
Yes, sir. What's going on? How y'all doing?
Very well. How are you?
Yes.
How are you? Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Sorry.
Yes. That means good.
No.
You know, always working.
Well, if you travel to Europe, they'll always say no as yes. Like someone will be talking to you and they'll make a point and they'll look at you and say no, meaning yes. So what's new, Red Man?
Nothing much. It's real cold out here. Tried to get into one of my stops and the padlock on the outside was frozen, so I couldn't get to that stop. That's about it.
It's because of global warming, don't you know that? That's why everything's happening in Texas and all of that stuff.
Oh, is that right? So when it's
Climate
freezing, it's
change.
global warming? So when it's freezing, it's global warming? When it's hot, it's global warming?
That's what they're saying. They're going to really push this green thing going because of all of this that's happening, like it never happened before.
Green thing, like greenhouse gases? Like we have a container for air?
Listen, people got to realize that we're not in a spinning ball, and they'll wake up. They got to. I realize that people wake up to the fact that they're not on what they think they're on, then everything changes.
Yep, if they could lie about that. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. I said, well, it just everything is different. There is no global warming, and there is no nonsense that they're talking about.
Of course not.
I sent the thing to that Russell Brand guy in the comments. I said, Russell, you're a smart guy. Look up Nathan Oakley, 1980. Earth is not a globe, buddy. So we'll see.
Hey everybody, what things?
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, I just eating there, so I'll be on mute for a while. Hey Nathan. It is.
Hello.
We missed you the last week or last few days.
Oh well, I'm back now. I miss you too.
Good to have you. Well, that's my way of saying good to have you back.
Thank you.
No?
Nope. What do you mean nope?
It's like, good to have you back, no?
Yeah, there you go. Now you're doing it. You got me there.
I have a bit of noise here, and I'm eating some food. So what I'll do is
All right.
I'll come off mute in a while. Okay.
You got it, buddy.
Okay. Talk to you in a while.
Sounds like an Irish party going on there.
It's an Australian program. What's going on there? Home and away is in the background.
Oh, with Tom Cruise.
You might, you big galah.
Straight.
Truth.
Hey, Nathan, can you go to Master B? Paula took one of my slides and did some real nice illustrations on it. Could get your comment on it.
Okay, it's on screen. Do you say you want me to comment on it?
Yeah, let's just talk about it and see what she's trying to tell us here, because it's about light, and you have crepuscular rays, by definition, are not due to perspective because they're coming vertical. As you can see there, she's got the lines in not perspective, perpendicular to line of sight is vertical. And then, but in the red with the rows of shrubbery there, perspective parallel to the line of sight, horizontal. And then under this, since the heliocentric model has a sun that's like a gas ball, light can't help but come out divergent. It can't come out parallel just because of the shape of their sun, ever. It has to go in all directions. I thought it was
Very
pretty cool.
interesting.
You know how Rumpus came on and others on the ball side and said, well, it's perspective. Okay, like they care for perspective ever, right, with their Muppet vision. But when we show them that sun's rays are divergent hitting the Earth, they say, well, it's perspective. They're really parallel, but they're converging. And here Paula is saying, well, that can't happen when you're looking at it from a vertical way coming down. It could only happen when it's parallel to a line of sight.
Roll on the orthographic representations and models.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. It's just that one picture.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, it's because they show a picture, an aerial view of a cloud casting a long shadow, and they say it's from the ISS. And they're saying, look, these are parallel rays. And I commented, no, those are long shadows because the sun is low to the horizon.
Right.
Afternoon, guys.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
You get that file, Nate?
I didn't. I asked for it. I couldn't sleep. One of my ears has gone funny, and I'm now in a lot of pain as a result. So I didn't sleep. And one of the things. I caught up on stuff that I'd normally, catch up on. Hence me asking about that. So just trying to find things to do to stop me being in pain. There we go.
I've sent it through.
Thank you
about
very
half hour
much.
ago, so you should have it, mate.
I do appreciate it. What was the second
Ibuprofen.
change?
Don't normally like ibuprofen, but if you got ear pain, often reduce a bit of swelling as well as paracetamol if you're in a bit of pain.
Yeah,
Good.
that's what I'll do. Ibuprofen. Thank you. What was the second change you made? The first one was what a day. What was the other one?
Just filling in a few more people on the title screen. Just with all the flat earthers. I've had a few more folks, so I stuck them in.
I see. So the collage had more added to it.
Yeah, just added a
Okay, very good.
few more folks, but it was just to get the what a day mostly in.
Yeah, when you did it, I was all keen. I thought I must get that done. Then I forgot, and then a few months later, takes having a severe earache and not being able to sleep to go. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's something I should be doing.
Cool. If you want any other tweaks, let me know. But
No, I'm really happy with both the intros. I've got the short one and the long one. I'm really happy with both. Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, Arwen.
hi, Owen. We've been talking edges over there. I just joined us.
Yeah, I was getting kind of edgy about it. God, no, but seriously, 1.5 hour nonstop. I really don't know how Nathan manages to keep on hammering on about Coriolis effect for at least an hour every single day.
Don't talk about it for an hour a day. That's not true.
Oh, really, Nathan?
If there's an argument
Hour and
one
a
day
half.
about it,
Let
yeah,
us
maybe.
put all the recordings of every time you mention it together. It's going to be thousands of hours.
Sure, I've said this before.
But that's
There's
okay.
a
It's
video
needed.
about a speedrunner, and he's I think it's Doom, the game Doom, and he's talking about one level where it's on like a very thin ledge, like 2 or 3 pixels wide, and you've got to walk across it really slowly. Now, if you're a speedrunner, all you want to do is go fast. So to this particular speedrunner, it was his nightmare. He hated it. It was the most annoying thing ever. But over time, he got good at it. Learned how to go slow to go fast. And then it became his level. And he knew how to do it. And then he loved the level and thought it was wonderful. But it started off with him despising it. Well, Coriolis is no different. I hated the argument because it was, for seemingly no reason, convoluted in doublespeak, where somebody could quite easily switch from holding a position where we have drift to holding a position where we don't. And I didn't understand why. Well, over time and arguing about it frequently, as you're moaning about that, I've understood the intricacies of not only the argument, but how the person's mind's functioning when they're arguing it, i.e. the cognitive dissonance that they're experiencing. It's not because they're really well versed at speaking out both sides of their mouth. It's just that they're cognitively holding 2 positions simultaneously.
Right. Shout out to Zanuck. Right, just like people in my chat today were just keep on reminding me how spheres have edges. They're just an apparent edge, so it's not a real edge. So spheres don't have edges. They just kept chanting that for over
What does
an
apparent
hour.
mean?
Crazy.
Means you can see it, right? Apparent edge means you'd see it. It's also claimed to be the physical leading edge of their sphere that blocks boats and buildings with a calculable value at feet and inches in their earth curve mathematics. So when they say it's apparent, well, that would mean we would see it.
Right. Well, I never even got to that part. I just got the whole show pretty much got hung up on the difference between a geometric edge and other types of edges that can be involved with geometry. And they just couldn't get it through. And they were literally double speaking it over and over and over again. Like, it has an edge, but it has no edge. Stop saying it has an edge, even though I just said it has an edge. Stop saying it.
Yeah, stop saying it's got an edge. Spheres don't have edges. Now let's go to the Earth curve calculator and calculate how much the edge of Earth I claim is the horizon blocks boats and buildings.
Yeah.
Well, because it's a sphere, it's got a surface, and edges belong to where lines meet to create an edge. But because there's no bulge that they say blocks the bottoms of boats and buildings, we call that an edge and have fun with them.
Put it on screen now. See where it says horizon, and it's got a little X, and it's got a straight line meeting it. That's your Earth curve edge right there. And beyond it, where it says hidden, that's your feet and inches value that you used to give us for how much it was physically blocking stuff with its physical geometry. What's that you say? The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. So this is the only place we can experience a physical Earth curve edge, because in reality, the geometric horizon is not apparent and therefore not a horizon. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Also below this video, there is a link to get £50 back for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Tenth Man, Arwin, Brian's Logic, Chocolate Sayin, Neil, Adam Meakin and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Woohoo! Good afternoon.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hooty-hoo.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That would be a horizon formerly known as Earth curvature.
Spheres don't have edges.
Yeah, I'm just going to say
do.
that.
Good morning.
Spheres only have
and no.
apparent edges. They don't have edges.
I'm
Arwin
looking
has
at
suffered
cantaloupe,
some
and it has
double
edges
speak
to me.
chanting in his early bird show. That's what was spilled over from the pre-show. So he's telling us how. Well, you tell us. Fill us in, Arwin. Explain.
Right. Yeah, I've been trying to explain something very rudimentary about spheres and the geometry of spheres. How spheres do have edges, except not geometric edges, right? Because when you look up, do spheres have edges in Google, it says, no, spheres don't have edges. But it failed to mention that that's specifically about geometry. It does have a lot of geometric related words in the explanation. So if you knew anything, you would be able to deduce that it's purely a geometric addressal of the question. Because when you take it in a little wider beyond geometry, then spheres do have edges. They have visual edges. When you look at a sphere, it has a demarcation circle, basically, as to where this sphere will obstruct the site beyond. So it does have an edge. Now, just saying that seems to be triggering so many people out there that they gotten to the point where they were repeating in chat constantly over and over again that spheres only have apparent edges, which means they don't have an edge.
Right.
I think it's back to the day where they showed the flat Earth and there was boats going over an edge, so they don't want to be
Exactly.
associated with that.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I
the
was just
reason
gonna
they've
say
got
that.
that, the reason the controlled opposition narrative from the Flat Earth Society exists with a boat falling over the edge is because it's much easier to attack our edge with our boats falling over it from the Flat Earth side of the argument if you're a globe head, rather than actually having the audience appreciate that they literally have boats falling over an edge, and then they qualify how much of it's fallen over with a feet and inches value at the tangent point Earth curve edge horizon that they claim physically blocks things into the distance. It's called Earth curve. It was your horizon prior to the Black Swan. Now we're told it's not geometric and we can't see that. The geometric maths is the only place we can find it, because Earth curve doesn't exist in reality. No, we don't have an Earth curve edge horizon. No, we don't see past some sphere edge that you're claiming blocks things at the bottom. No, the horizon is apparent. That would be appearing but not actual.
Sphere, if we lived on a sphere, it's supposed to block things, isn't it? Because I'm looking at a cantaloupe right now, and if I had something, let's say, on the side of it, I would not be able to see it on the other side.
Yeah, you can't see where it rolls past.
Nathan, did I just Owen say that they said the geometric, the edge was apparent?
Yeah, that would mean appearing, though, wouldn't it?
It's not their edge defined by the geometry, so it does have an actual distance where it begins. It's not like a horizon, which is apparent, which is a point of degradation of the optic. This is an actual physical position which is calculable based on size of the ball and your height. It's not apparent in the slightest. It's geometric.
Correct.
It's
the physical limitation of their hill, otherwise known as the bulge, is 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Physical limitation based on the geometry, which doesn't exist.
They're not apparent.
No. To be a horizon, you've got to be apparent. To be a geometric horizon, you'd need to see it, and it'd be a physical limitation, as they claim it is. Any evidence?
Their apparent edge is actually only an apparent horizon. That's what's really going on.
Not geometric, then. Well, so we go on.
No.
Well, I still like using the word because it bugs them.
Yeah, I get it into the housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere, edge, horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
Apparently not.
Indeed. Any evidence of axial rotation?
Can be seen, can be measured.
Can't be seen, can't be measured. Indeed. Axial rotation? Anybody at all?
Just a bunch of Globers holding hands, playing Ring Around the Rosies around the globe, chanting, "I wish it were true."
They chant, "We do, we do, we don't, we don't, we do, we do." Talking about the geometric horizon. Or drift. We do, we do, we don't, we don't. Why would you expect to see drift? We do see 15 degrees an hour, thanks, Bob. Why would you expect there to be 15 degrees an hour? Who claims that? Thanks for proving the 15 degrees an hour drift that we don't ever see. Why would you expect to see it? Your reference frames are ruined.
Well,
You forgot prove the Earth is spinning.
they're taking the movement of the sun at 15 degrees and saying it's the Earth moving and not the sun. That's the problem.
Notice I have actually managed to get the live chat working today. You can actually chat as a member of the audience today. Tomorrow it'll be members only, so enjoy it while it lasts. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
That's a tough one.
Rumpus
No,
knows.
No, it isn't. Why is it tough?
Is it tangible?
Any evidence for the distance? Well, we're waiting for the evidence. There is none.
Evidence of a mountaintop.
Yeah, if I can see a mountaintop that hasn't been scaled yet, does that make it intangible? Who cares? The sun, on the other hand, nobody's gone to. It's not like we've got 20 of them and we've scaled 5. You know what I mean? No one's been to the sun. It is, by definition, intangible.
But that's bad logic, because even if there is a mountain that nobody's gone to, somebody can go to it, though.
Yeah, they're masters of false comparison. Don't let it bug you, Neil. Any evidence of a...
Well, even if you have events at the top, the top is still connected to the base of the mountain anyway. So stupid.
Well, there was a song called "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." So
Indeed. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
on in a lollipop.
Yesterday's pre-show
I
we
think
had.
that's the dumbest of all.
There is actually some.
Oh, here we go.
The dynamo, yeah, the dynamo on a bike.
Are you having a laugh? Molten iron
No,
core
no,
at the
it
centre
works.
of a presupposed spherical Earth over, what, nearly 3,000 miles down? Is that where the core begins?
Oh,
Nearly
no.
3,000 miles?
No,
I-
I tell you,
Ferrero Rocher.
I tell you how it works. Dynamo on a bike causes two magnets to move, which creates an electric current, right? But the core of the globe Earth works the opposite, whereas it's two separately moving electric currents that cause a magnetism.
No.
So it's electricity causes magnetism, as opposed to magnetism causes electricity.
Yeah, but
That's not a very attractive argument.
they claim it's beyond the Curie point in terms of its temperature anyway. Not that anybody's verified any of this crap, but in the heliocentric model, they've got the temperatures beyond the Curie point. So how's it going to generate anything?
Well, the solid inner core turns east to west, opposite from the globe, rotation of west to east. Now, I don't know how it does all this. Right?
It's okay, carry on. It's
So if you
true.
keep asking questions, I'm going to hang up. Right? Just letting you know about that.
Look, it's true because they made it up themselves. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nonsense.
You don't need it.
They've redefined it.
What is it?
It's the
A
bending
concept.
Bending
of
of
space-time.
conceptual.
Well, in the past it was a force. Today it's an effect. Tomorrow it might be something else.
It's whatever they want it to be.
Okay, that's it right there.
Yeah, it's been superseded by quantum mechanics. Debunked all of Einstein's nonsense. Anyway, let's move on. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Still waiting.
To have
What
a
a damn
hypothesis. To have a hypothesis, what must happen first?
Got plenty
Should
of
I say
phenomena.
chat rooms? Nope.
Observe national
Isn't that-
phenomena.
Yes, it's got to be a
Isn't that
phenomenon.
back in the question?
I just realized if emails are proof science, then we've moved on by now. You know, emails like so 90s. There's now chat rooms, so chat rooms should be proof.
Chat rooms were
But
around
that's
just as
not-
long as emails. Clearly not an AOL user.
Right. Yeah. I actually did use it a little.
That's fascinating. Anyway, emails and chat rooms
Well,
aren't,
back to my
aren't science.
back to my question. Back to my question. When is a hypothesis used? In what context?
Scientific
Natural
prediction.
phenomenon.
The prediction. It's a scientific prediction.
Experiment, man.
No.
Natural
No,
phenomenon.
no. Hold on.
Person wanting to communicate. They
But isn't
They're
everything in the sky a
manipulate the
natural
computer
phenomenon?
and send email.
One at a time. He
Is
asked
it-
what a hypothesis was.
is-
It's a scientific prediction. It's not an experiment. An experiment is the actualization of a hypothesis. But a hypothesis is a prediction for what you think causes a phenomena you've observed in nature. That's what a hypothesis is.
But isn't everything in the sky a natural phenomenon?
So what is it used for?
Anything occurring in nature could be classed as a phenomenon, yes. Neil.
So then why don't they just science it then? Oh, they can't, because they can't manipulate anything in the sky, correct?
Well, no, based on what they claim in heliocentrism, no. What they're claiming happens as a phenomena in the sky, and they've got plenty of them. They just make up a just so story for. They're not varying and manipulating presumed causes of the effects they observe. No.
So then the answer to the question, a housekeeping question, is no.
Until someone offers up a valid hypothesis. Doesn't even have to be actualized. We're not asking for any experimentation, just a valid hypothesis. Yeah, we're never going to get it, Neil.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't think we are going to get it.
No, I don't think so.
them reading some kind of digital number and then changing it into a black hole, they want to call that science.
Just so
What's a
stories.
black hole?
They just make up stuff and call it science because we've been trained from kids to know that science is empirical. So when they pepper their just so stories with this word, you instinctively, or the idea is you'll instinctively think it's proven. Even though it's just a made up story with the word science inserted somewhere, or some scientific sounding terminology like experiment or hypothesis, or theory.
So let me see if I understand what you're saying. So when I say, hey, science proves it, that means I'm right, you're wrong, end of argument.
No, that's the magic trick they're trying to employ. Unicorns are real. Science has proven unicorns. Right? Alright, so science proved it, yeah. Do you disagree with the hundreds, if not thousands, of scientists who say unicorns are real? Alright, I see, so they're real then. Yeah, science says so. Okay, now reality. Science says unicorns are real. Oh really? You're telling me that a unicorn, a fabled creature, is a naturally occurring phenomenon? Science said so. No, science deals with phenomenon. Unicorns aren't a phenomenon, they don't even exist. You mean science says they're real? It's not a phenomenon, then you've not got a varied cause that you've manipulated in an experiment to validate that as a cause. This is nonsense. Now, replace unicorns with black holes.
Remember the phrase they used to always say, science says? I used to always hear that. Science says, and then they would utter out anything they wanted to.
Yeah, that's the trick.
For 10th man, no. What you have to do first is you have to prove that science actually proves things. And how do you prove that? You must use science, but science doesn't prove stuff. So you'll never prove anything.
Yeah, that's right. Science disproves things, right?
Never mind that part.
Sorry, guys.
Science doesn't prove anything.
I'll get to that in a second, Brian. I will answer
Absolute crowd of monkeys.
Well, I will actually answer the question though, but not before I read out Gordilla's super chat. A shoe, a bone, a woman named Brenda. What do they all have in common? None of them are what Brenda claims them to be. Thank you for the super chat, Godzilla. So the reason science is being asked of us to prove its empirical nature is because they've used it and hijacked it to bolster their just so stories and make them seem more real than they are. Now, the method has got two sides to the hypothesis, which is why we're asking it of any field that's in this quasi-world that we used to think we lived in. And the method, the hypothesis in the method, has got this thing called a null. And the null is the contrapositive of your positive assertion when you assume a cause. Yep. So your supposition is A causes B. You've seen B happen in nature, and you assume A causes it. Well, that's called an alternative hypothesis. But the mirror image of that is not if A then B, but if A not B. So the way it would break down is you vary A in the experiment to see if it causes B. And if it does cause B, you validate, that would be prove, your alternative hypothesis, instantly invalidating your null. However, if you vary A and B does not happen, you validate, that would be prove, your null hypothesis, instantly invalidating your alternative. So upon actualization of a scientific prediction, that's a hypothesis, you validate either the null or the alternative. One or other will be proven at the end of the process, making it empirical. That's why it's used. That's why it's hijacked by them, because we've been taught that in school. So at some level, we all know that science proves things. Otherwise, they wouldn't invoke it all the time when they're making up stories.
I have a question for that idiot Rumpus. If that moron wants to come in, that idiot moron. If he wants to come in, I have a question for Rumpus.
I like
That idiot
that.
moron, that twat. I have a question for him. For the moron. I hope he comes in.
Who are you talking about?
Rumpus, the moron.
Oh, the
Rumpus,
moron,
big
the
moron.
idiot.
Yeah,
the double speaking,
idiot, the
contradictory
moron.
fundy.
He's getting a head start on him.
Yeah,
I like
moron.
that.
I
Hold
have a
on,
question for him.
he's not such a moron. He knew when to come in and stop that tape from being played, so he don't look like a moron.
Oh, he's a moron. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's
Hang
too
on, Brian.
stupid to understand anything. He's just a total moron. He's too stupid.
Brian,
Hope he
Brian,
comes in.
Oh, look, there's
Brian,
the string. Hold on.
Brian, can you please use an utter word?
Yeah, there's a poisoning the well fallacy going on, and Brian's obviously going somewhere with it, so just let him.
Yeah, I just want that moron Rumpus to come in. That idiot moron who knows no man, who always gets everything wrong, who's always proven wrong every time. I want him to come in. Moron.
Probably too
I have a
cowardly,
question for him.
Brian. Probably too
Sorry?
scared to come in. He's probably too scared to come in.
Yeah, he's too scared to come in. But he's a moron, though. He might come in anyway. He's a moron.
Okay, are we done poisoning the well?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm loving this.
It's a fallacy you're utilising, by the way. Poisoning the well fallacy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, if somebody spent the past 4 years pissing in their own well, you can't blame Brian for a little bit.
Yes, that's true. By demonstration, what Brian's saying is neither a personal attack or a poisoning the well fallacy, because it's so true.
Oh, I have plenty of evidence of it. I
Exactly.
can call him that all day long. The evidence is piling up. We have audio. Many audio clips that proves it.
Yeah, I've noticed some of his own side starting to say that about him. Have you noticed that in the comments? Yeah, well, we don't really take anything Rumpus says seriously. Oh, really? Do you not? It's funny how you argue a lot of his arguments 2 or 3 weeks after he's first postulated them here. But there we go.
Oh, really? The king is falling from his throne, huh?
Well, he's getting thrown under the bus by his own side, and we're just laughing at him. He's getting irritated with us, which is definitely not his remit. His MO is to be annoying. Rumpus means disruption. Well, him coming here and just getting annoyed with us, that isn't his MO, right? It's definitely not in his comfort zone currently.
He got angry yesterday, boy.
Yeah, he sure did. Tables have turned.
I completely missed that part.
Yeah.
What was it about?
I don't remember. It was funny, though.
The mountaintop.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him draw a false equivalence between something that we know is tangible, like a mountain, and the sun, which nobody can touch. They haven't got an accurate description for, and they can't measure.
Ah, right. I get it. Yeah, it's a
sun,
confusing one.
The sun meets the textbook definition of an intangible object. It's intangible, by definition. Now, they need it to be physical because they've got an actual measured distance to it with lots of assumptions of our values for Venus and Earth and such like. So they kind of need it to be tangible, even though it means...
You mean like the geometric horizon?
Like the what?
Just like their geometric horizon.
Exactly like their geometric horizon. And that's partially why it's debunked in their only claim of physical tangibility, which would be to say that they've got a distance to it. Well, how have we got a distance to it? Well, we assumed that we've got a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. It used to block boats and buildings, fundies, in case you want to tell us you haven't got an edge for a sphere. Yeah, that edge. Yeah, that bulge. The horizon that you used to think was blocking things. Yeah, there's your edge, right? Well, that was measured to give you an R value, and from that R value measured at a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, you then extrapolate out that Venus is the same size as Earth and has the same R value. You then apply Kepler's third law to give you all the distances. So without your R value, based on a physical geometric sphere edge, that'd be an edge that's blocking stuff. Without that, you don't have any of these scaling distances and an assumption for Venus's R value. So the whole thing implodes. Your entire model is based on R, and we've debunked it. Any evidence of R?
That's a no.
You're thinking about it, Brian. I can hear the cogs turning.
I'm trying to come up with something. No, like not at the moment.
What about any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Definitely not. Or otherwise it would have been demonstrated already.
They've done it. They brought 2 containers to do it.
Sometimes 3.
No, always 3. You need the container you're standing in, and you need 1 container to pour it into the other container to prove you have gas pressure without a container. So always 3.
What do you mean the one you're standing in?
The realm.
Oh yeah, but they're not going to agree with that.
Doesn't matter.
don't
If
think
you
we're
agree with it.
container.
It's there. It's we're breathing.
Yeah, but they don't bring it. They're in it.
That concludes the housekeeping. Yeah, I'm
So
into
what
the
was
whole.
that?
Go on.
What was that thing Brian was talking about? Some guy named Rumpus that won't come on. What was he saying?
That moron.
The moron. The idiot moron.
Okay.
Who always gets things wrong. That moron. Yeah.
Utter moron.
Doing quite
I like
nicely at the
when
moment for
Brian
our
is
side,
at
actually.
hormones.
As much as he's getting
I
a lot
got
of
a
stick,
question.
he's doing quite well by our side, I would say.
I got a question.
Yeah, Lisa, good to have you.
Hey, what's up, Nathan? What's up, everybody? So when you guys were saying, or and I say you guys, but like when people say gravity doesn't exist, don't we mean gravitation? Any evidence for gravitation versus gravity? And your
That's their
thoughts on
label,
it?
not
Nathan?
as. Gravitation, gravity, same thing.
Well, but really, it just means weight, right?
Gravitas
Well,
means
that's
weight.
not
Careful.
100% correct.
Right.
No.
So if
Gravitas.
we say that there's no gravity, well, gravitas, but culminating in the term gravity, but colloquially,
No, that's where it's
No.
derived from. That's an etymological fallacy.
why would you say that?
Because you're trying to debunk the origins of the word rather than the word and its actual meaning. So the etymological background for gravitas, meaning weight, isn't the meaning of gravity. Gravity currently, in the current rhetoric, is the bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space caused by the uneven distribution of mass. That's what gravity is. But you're saying, well, the root word is... that's an etymological fallacy.
Well, then, let's say,
means
would
weight.
you don't see
Does-
the correlation of let's say weight and gravity, and the argument being about the causation instead of the definition?
Of course, it's the origin of the word. But that doesn't mean that it is weight or that it currently means weight, because it doesn't. It means the uneven distribution of mass causing the bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space. Currently, derived from weight.
Well, isn't that in actuality, isn't that like gravitation?
Only
Well,
for
weight's the
Newtonian.
alleged phenomenon, right?
Only for Newtonian.
Right. So weight exists.
Well, could I clear up
My
something here?
my thoughts on it are to say that gravity doesn't exist is akin to saying weight doesn't exist.
Yeah, I
Can
see
I
what you're
clear up
saying.
something here?
Go on,
A
go
lot of
ahead, Brian.
I was going to say this earlier, but I couldn't get on the phone. Isaac Newton wrote his Principia Mathematica, not Principia, not Principia, or whatever it is that QE says. It's Principia.
Principia.
No, Principia Mathematica. Right?
Anyway, in the Principia, go ahead.
He wrote that. Sorry, Nathan?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Isaac Newton wrote that in Latin. So when he used the word gravitas, he was speaking about heavy or weight, right? That's what gravitas means. And when he used the word mass, he was the first person to use mass within, let's say, English speaking, or the use of that word came from him using it, which is a Latin word. It's spelled M-A-S-S-E, and it speaks about a large amount of something. So when he spoke about gravitas and mass, or masse, he spoke about weight, heavy, and large amounts. He wasn't speaking about several different definitions of something, or an attraction between masses, or the bending of space-time.
Thank you.
Yeah, back then, it meant exactly that, because the concept of gravity didn't exist. Gravitas couldn't have any relationship to our understanding of gravity because it hadn't been made up by then. So it had its own independent meaning. Now, when they come to make up something that they're going to try and stick a force in, they look at the Latin, like they do with a lot of things, and think, well, what should we call this first? The Latin for weight is gravitas. We'll call it gravity. But the original concept had nothing to do with the downward force, mass attracting mass, or bending of space-time. It just
Right, and that's my point, in the sense that to say that gravity doesn't exist is to make yourself look a fool, even colloquially speaking to these people.
Yeah, again, same thing. To say
What's
gravitas,
gravity?
i.e. weight, doesn't exist, you're right. You're one step ahead where they've taken an etymological meaning to imply weight when they've got something other than weight going on.
Right, but in the light of this optical information war, they've got flat earthers looking retarded by saying that gravity doesn't exist. I mean, I know what you mean.
No,
But in the general sense of things, if you say that gravity doesn't exist, you
the
kick
concept
yourself
of
out of a
gravity
conversation.
doesn't exist unless you can prove gravity, because the definition of gravity is not weight. You get the definition of gravity, it won't be weight.
I think I know what you're driving at there, Issa, because when they say weight, they are automatically invoking gravity. And you're saying by way of the way they argue, and you're correct. But just so you're aware, if you did that with somebody, a high priest of heliocentrism wouldn't allow you to argue in that way, just so you're aware. So I'm being pedantic, not even being pedantic, I'm being, what's the word, accurate.
Me too, right. I feel you, brother. It's complicated.
Isn't weight the phenomenon that they're attempting to explain?
No,
Trying to
it's
invoke a
what
force
they're
for it.
pretending to become the phenomenon if you accept that weight is equal to m times g. But we've only got weight. It's not a thing, it's a convention. And then we are led from that convention that we've all accepted of how scales work and what it means with liquids and solids. And we lead from that into an acceptance that modern Newtonian stuff means that weight actually means, and has always meant, even though you can never get your M or your G, you can only ever actually physically obtain your W, but your W definitely is comprised of M and G. And that's the bullshittery that they have us arguing in.
Exactly.
There is
Well, check
only
this.
weight, which is you divine that by putting some on scales. The rest of it is all conceptual, and even the W.
Well, check it. There's a dictionary from 1902, right? And the definition of the words it says in this dictionary, the words gravity and gravitation have been more or less confounded, but the most careful writers use gravitation for the attracting force and gravity for the terrestrial phenomena of weight or downward acceleration, which has for its two components the gravitation and centrifugal force. So, a Century Dictionary, 1902.
Yeah, but what
I just think, like, when we're using these terms, being wise about it.
Sorry, I thought you were finished.
Oh, carry on. Go on, brother.
Right, so what that's saying there is weight is caused by gravity. And that's the difference. Gravitas just means weight. You could say something has a lot of gravitas or a little bit of gravitas. It means it's very heavy or not heavy at all. But if you're talking about gravity, gravity causes weight in their vernacular.
Correct. It's invoking a force, exactly. So when they say weight and
right, but just because, but now you've entered into their structure of using language, which immediately puts you at a loss.
Not necessarily.
So why not?
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean,
because
if you're saying that gravity doesn't exist, they're going to laugh at you right away.
That's magic. That's what language is. Spells and spelling, right? Well, yeah. How do you combat that? Well, you understand the spells and the spelling, and the meanings and the definitions. Well, that's part of their system, and you're right. Would I say you've automatically lost because you're into the realms of their magic and linguistics? No, I wouldn't say that. I know people who would.
Well, I'd say just take their magic wand away and point out the fact that they're wearing no clothes. Like the idea that, dude, you're using a word mistakenly. Let's address that. Like
you're right. They're invoking gravity.
Let them know, hey, let's clarify the language.
I also agree with you on the level that we debate, because when they say weight, they are invoking the force of gravity.
But aren't they the ones that
Fair
invoke
enough.
this
And I
word?
give you, I
Like it's
grant, you
some
know,
type
I
of
have to
magic
concede
spell?
that.
Like
I just think
if they're the ones
it
invoking
does
this
us.
word as a claim, isn't it up to them to prove that? Well, I don't understand this. We're looking stupid because gravity. We say gravity doesn't exist. If I say what's gravity, they have to prove that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see this point.
I'll clear it up. We already have words to describe what gravitas is. Gravitas in English means weight and heavy. There are two words we have in the English language. Gravity means something else, is a cause. Gravity is asserted as a cause up to 106 years ago, sorry.
Exactly.
Before 106 years ago, it was asserted as a cause by mainstream science for weight. Now it's the bending of space-time, supposedly, although I haven't seen any source information that Albert Einstein actually said.
Was that
I don't care what their cause the claim is. You know, that's perfectly fine. Just damn it. Sorry, truck going by. Is that loud?
Just carry on, don't worry.
Sorry, yeah. I don't give a damn about any of that. I'll grant you gravity if you can show me that gravity did what they said it did to the planet I'm supposed to live on. So if you can show me some convexity, then maybe you have something. But there's no ball.
That was beautiful, by the way. That was beautiful. I love your conditional acceptance right there. That was fucking amazing.
That's how I feel, man. If you're gonna invoke words, well, what does that mean? Do you have proof for that word? Do you have
Well, but my thing
scientific
is that if I'm
experiment
going
that
to
proves
use
that
words,
that word means something in the context that you're using it? If not, then you're just saying words.
well, the first
They
thing, if you
generally
notice, like people
the
say in
best proof,
contracts,
chocolate
in
of
contracts, the
this,
first
right,
thing they
is
do
to
is
Oh,
define
you're all
terms.
talking
make
through
a
each other.
statement that you would weigh 1/6 of what you weigh on Earth on the moon. That's their proof that W equals M times G.
Right, this whole Newtonian gravity that we're discussing, this force, number one, it's been superseded by a not actual force bending space-time. That's the first problem. The second problem is you can debunk this by letting go of a helium balloon.
Well, no, I think that's why I use the term. You know, I like the idea of relative density versus like if we're arguing, like my thing is that like I would say in my argumentation that gravity exists, but the difference between myself and let's say your casual is going to be that I'm going to note that gravity potentially is caused by relative density versus gravitation, and I think that it's a matter of language. It's actually to our benefit. But I think to just say that gravity doesn't exist, in the layman's mind, they will cancel you from the position if you're trying to win them over.
Okay.
We've covered
That's
this
my-
so many times.
You mean
They'll
that
say,
placement
"Oh,
misinterpreted
I
as
thought I was talking."
But it doesn't
Well, I mean, if you're
exist.
talking to
Hold on,
somebody that you
Ether.
love and care for and want to change their opinion,
It doesn't.
then when you say gravity doesn't exist, they're going to cut. They're just not going to accept that. But you can
Okay,
argue about the
Ether,
causation,
I'm trying,
and you look
but
like
you
an
just won't let
intellectual.
me. It doesn't exist, right? So this universal downward vector, 9.8 meters per second squared, I've just said, has been superseded by the not actual force of bending pseudo-Riemannian for space. That's length, breadth, depth, and time. So space-time being bent by the uneven distribution of mass is not a force. It certainly isn't 9.8 meters per second. Now, that assertion of 9.8 meters per second when you describe weight, that's not real. I can debunk that by letting go of a helium balloon. So, no, you say weight. Oh, what? Mandatory down? Weight? All right, what about the gas that isn't going down? Debunked. Not real.
But also,
Like
like, you don't have to speak you don't have to, like, there's so many things that, like Lord of the Rings is a huge story. Right? You can go within Lord of the Rings and then try to debunk this and that and the third. That would be a waste of a day, a week, or whatever. Like, gravity, okay, I'll give you that, but under one condition. Do you know how they've measured the Earth to be a ball and the size they claim? Like, do you know anything about that? Because you would need that to say that, okay, the physics of this ball is working this way because it's this ball. Like I think people would understand that and say that's fair. So of course I can prove it's a ball, but they can't. So as long as you keep dragging them to R and showing them that there is no R, there's nowhere they can go. Oh, well, what about pictures from space? You would need R to send something up there to take pictures from said place. I'm not even going to talk about how it's a second law of thermodynamics violation. Like, just show me how it's proved to be this globe that we live on.
I totally agree. And it's something that I've been realizing more and more recently, that absolutely the black swan argument is the be all and end all. That's why it's number one, top of the pops, in terms of globe debunking arguments. Because exactly, you don't even need to go to the second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum if you haven't got an R value. What's that you say you're travelling to the moon? How'd you get the distances? You need R. Debunked. What's that you say the Earth is moving around the sun? Well, you need an R to actually make that assertion, and you haven't got one. All debunked. Black Swan debunks all. That's why it's number one. Correct. I totally agree. I'll go with that. Yeah, well, you need R first. Let's not even worry about the sky vacuum not being real. Where'd you get R?
When he first brought up the
Sorry,
subject,
Ted.
when he first brought up the subject, I thought of the word semantics because it comes up quite often on your show, Nathan. So they'll say in the debate, oh, that's just semantics, which is them trying to say I'm misusing a word to get my interpretation out of it. Well, what is semantics? Let me just read this little paragraph. Semantics is the study of the relationship between words and how we draw meaning from those words. People can absolutely interpret words differently and draw different meanings from them. So when he said gravity, today's concept of gravity is not weight.
Correct.
Can
Right,
I,
but does that mean that, like, if
man?
everybody's jumping off a bridge, do I, like, jumping off the cliff, do I have to jump off the cliff too? Like, I'm trying to use the words correctly. Like, even in this definition, it says the words gravity and gravitation have been more or less confounded, meaning that everyone is using these terms incorrectly. Now, granted, if you want to enter, and this is a kind of a weird little thing, because if you're going to enter that lexicon, and then you're going to say that gravity doesn't exist. I think, in my opinion, to the layman, if you're trying to change someone's opinion, they're going to look at you like you're fucking crazy
I don't
because they're
But
going to
we
say,
don't
"Hey,
do
what are
that.
you talking about?
We
Gravity?"
don't
Do
do
you want to
that.
be?
What we do is
Do you want to
say
look
define
sane
the
or be
word.
right? Which one do you want? Look sane or be right? Gravity isn't real.
Well, I mean, I would imagine you want to be right, but the point is that, like, that's why I'm saying it's like, see, what I'm trying to do in this particular instance, I would think, is be right at against the will of my flat Earth brothers and sisters who insist to say that gravity is fucking gravitation, and I'm saying that these
Oh,
words do
sorry, the
not mean
pennies
peace.
just dropped. What's going on? Have you been away for a while, Lisa?
You like that?
Yeah, we've been away for a while.
Oh, I miss you, Nathan. Yes, sir.
All right,
Good to
so
see you,
you've
bro.
you've come back and found that there is a faction of flat earthers who, for perhaps the reasons you're now postulating, would like to infer that there is a force of gravity. Correct?
By denying it, aren't they? By denying gravitate, by
2017.
denying the term gravity in its usage, aren't you admitting that it exists?
That what exists?
Can I,
No, it's well, we're hang on.
Like,
Let me
okay, I'm not going
last
to go
word
down
I'm
that
going to
rabbit
say
hole.
on
Look,
this matter. It's all we do
all
is
I'm
say
saying is
define
that
the word first. Hang on, did you hear that? When they come and say it, we say define the word first.
We're on
What
different
is
levels. Hold on, let me just explain to the panel. He's just not having a problem with the explanation in terms of heliocentric debunking of gravity. That's not the issue here. The issue is he's caught between a rock and a hard place in flat Earth. That's the problem.
no doubt, because I love you guys so much. I want to come and talk about all this awesome shit, but at the same time, I get shouted down for saying, well, gravity doesn't really
Do
mean
you want to know my
gravitation.
position on
Everyone's
it?
like, but that's what everyone thinks it means. And I'm like, okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Well,
But that
in terms
doesn't
of the
mean it's
argument,
right.
Lisa, I've already laid out my position, which is: do you want to look sane or be right? That's the bottom line in terms of the argument. But I don't think that's the issue. In terms of Bob Nodell and his assertion that we have a gravitational force, we don't.
Well, that's a whole nother matter. And that's my point, is that the concept in this conversation of gravitation, or the cause, is open up for debate. My thing is to say that gravity doesn't exist.
This is
isn't.
where perfect. This is where 10th man's last question comes into play. Feel free to re-ask EC your question, 10th.
I can't remember what it was.
Please define what it is, Issa. Before we go any further, let's define what it is.
Right. That's my isn't that my position? You know what I'm saying? I'm
But
saying,
that's
hey,
why I don't agree with you
gravity.
saying before. Oh,
Hold on one
we
second.
were
Hold on,
crazy
Chocolate.
telling them
Hold on,
that
Chocolate.
it doesn't.
Go ahead. Hold on. Go ahead, Issa.
My bad.
It says in the dictionary that the words gravity and gravitation have been more or less confounded. So there's an intellectual group in our society that understand, wow, people have gone off the fucking deep end using this word gravity.
Yeah,
and
there's
so
a magic trick.
In
Yeah,
my sense, I'm saying,
yeah, we covered that though.
I'm
That's
just saying,
the
bring
magic
it back
trick.
home and just say, hey, we're looking at a phenomenon called gravity.
No, we're
If you
not.
say it
What?
doesn't
Okay.
exist,
Okay, stop. Just try and go with us, right?
Wait.
So if I let go of a helium balloon, it'll go down at 9.8 meters per second, will it, Issa?
with no air in it, I mean, no helium in it. I mean,
helium
you know what I mean?
itself.
Like, I'm
Helium
arguing
itself.
for general relativity. I think,
Issa,
or not
Issa,
general relativity,
Issa,
you know, relative density.
Issa, hello. So wait. So gas go down, go boom, boom, 9.8 meters per second. Does it, Issa? No.
Okay.
So no gravity then, mate, because I can violate that claim of down by showing things go up. Not all subject to 9.8 meters per second down. Simply not the case.
Okay.
So no gravity. So you're saying you can't say that because what? Bob Nodell might get angry with you. It might be objectionable to him who thinks there is.
I'm not making Bob's argument. I'm making the point about the term. I couldn't.
Yeah, we know. We've covered that. We've covered that. Yeah, there's a magic trick. It even says more or less. Well, there's a contradiction in terms, if you think about it. Is it or isn't it? More or less being convoluted. Yeah, that's them disclaiming the magic trick that's being used. Yeah, they're convoluting a force of gravity with this old-timey description of weight called gravitas. Yeah, that's a magic trick. Doesn't mean that there's a real force, whether you're a flat earther or not. If you look stupid to people who are onlookers, that's not fine by me.
To the term gravity.
You're
again. Implying that you are joining them in implying the force to the term.
Hold on, Eli, can you mute? Say again, one more time, Issa. Sorry.
I was just going to say, by going down the rabbit hole with them, you are also implying that there's a force that they've attached, and you're giving it some kind of credibility. My thing is that I want to take that word out of their lexicon.
So am I doing that? Am I doing that when I let go of a helium balloon?
By saying that gravity implies
Issa, you can't just get away with telling me that I'm going along with what they're saying when I've debunked it literally.
Well, no, you're debunking it. You're going against it by giving them the leniency of allowing them the term.
I don't allow them the term. I say no. I don't do that though. You're saying
you're allowing them to add gravitation to the term gravity because it's colloquially accepted, right?
No,
not by us.
On one hand, we would ask them, okay, well, what do you mean by gravity? Please define it. So once they do that, we can then tell them, oh no, that's not, what they're currently going with, or yes, that's what they're currently going with. This is what that means. Now, is this a descriptor for how we experience things in reality? So it's not really saying that you saying gravity exists or doesn't exist means that we're conceding, not necessarily, because you're saying, well, there has to be a cause for what we're seeing. But nobody's determined why things are ordered the way they are. Only thing that we can say is its relative density, like you've pointed out.
I'm just going to do a couple of quick shout outs. So Godzilla says, Rumpus is doing great today. I finally agree with him. I'm not entirely sure where that's sat in the context of these conversations, Godzilla, but thank you very much for the super chat all the same. Also, again, Godzilla, thank you very much indeed for the super chat. He says, this one is to remind you that you missed one. The one that I just read. Thank you very much for the super chat, Godzilla. I really appreciate your support.
Yeah, can I get rid of this problem? Issa, is it? Could you please define gravity for me?
Yeah, wait.
No, that's gravitas.
Well, I mean, if I look up the root word of fucking gravity, it takes me to weight.
Circles.
And as I just said,
circles. So etymological fallacy. So this is where we started.
Hold on.
Where we started. Etymological fallacy. That's what's happening.
Sorry, the English word for weight is weight.
granted,
Latin word
you know
for
what I
weight
mean.
is
It's got
gravitas.
all kinds of
But gravity
implications.
is also, one
It's the
second, gravity
contraption
is
by which
also an English word,
terrestrial
Nick.
I
bodies
can't
can
hear
revolve
either of you.
toward the center of the earth.
Hello?
I'm
Can't
trying
hear
to
either
say,
of you.
okay, the English word for weight is weight. The English word for heavy is heavy. The Latin word for those is gravitas. But there is another English word that's a bastardization of the Latin word gravitas, and that word is gravity. Please define what that is.
Weight. That's what I
It's
think. You know
not.
what I mean? It's
No,
listed
we
as
not.
already
number
have a
2
weight,
definition of
a
it.
name for
This is
weight
the.
in English
I'm sorry,
language. It's
Brian. I've
called
got to do
weight.
it. I've just got to tell him. You're just wrong. Gravity is not weight. Oh, check it out. One of my mods has said the same thing in the chat. Paula, Bible literalist. Gravity is not weight. Yeah, it's not. You're using this word gravitas, the root word, and saying, well, that's what gravity means. It doesn't. I'm sorry.
I mean, okay, cool. I just think when you tell, you know, I think in the debate when we say that gravity doesn't exist, it's just I don't know. It's not amenable to winning the fucking debate.
Look, man, I'm sorry. You're going to have to
It is
accept
not
that
winning the
either
debate.
you take a side in this issue, and you can be on the side of truth if you want, Issa, or you can be on the side of looking less silly, or you can be on the side of nonsense and then go around asserting that there's gravity. But that will cause you problems with people who just don't like that on our own side. And yeah, at some point you're going to have to weigh up all these things, boom, boom, and figure out what you're going to do.
I'm gonna have to weigh it all together. Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah, but the fact that it doesn't exist, whose
that's
fault
not
is
part
that? Is
of.
that ours or the person making the claim? Because I don't have to say it doesn't exist. So you say gravity, I say, all right, what is that? Prove it. Show me that. While I
There's
hold
even
this helium balloon in my hand that's trying to go up. Show me that. Go ahead.
Sorry, there's even a baller in chat called Eric Erpelning, actually proving exactly what we're saying. Because he's a baller and he's saying weight equals mass times G, and he has it then G equals little g. So
right, if you're gonna use that,
Right, and I think
if
it's giving
it's
that
their
credence.
definitions that you're having, then W equals M times G. Therefore, if you wanted to find G is equal to weight divided by mass.
Circle jerk. All they're doing is invoking gravity when they say weight. Oh, what's that helium balloon doing?
What's the weight of the ascending helium balloon?
Mean ascending. It's going down, go boom boom, 9.8 meters per second. It's universal. It's true. It's a force. We do have gravity. It'd be stupid to say otherwise, right, Issa?
But they do.
Well, no, I
if
just
they
think
remember,
by
they
saying
do actually
taking their
say
term
that
of
that is
gravity.
caused by buoyancy, though, and then they imagine how it floats on top of it.
Buoyancy also invokes gravity.
I know.
I
Well, let me
remember
ask a
this
question.
moron saying you're
Can I ask
going up at the same time you're going down.
We got to give guys, give Issa some what's the word?
Well, just
Leeway.
one second. Yeah, thank you, brother. Like the idea of like, let's say, people say like, well, if you're an atheist, then you're still religious.
Oh, I didn't just clear the
Right.
A way of sort of false comparison, so goddamn you. No.
Well, I mean, like, it's like to say, to be an atheist is like to have a religion, and to say gravity doesn't exist is to accept their premise of the term. And
That's incorrect.
Define religion.
What's gravity?
Hold on.
What's an atheist?
Well,
it's all up
can
for
I cut?
Hold on.
Can I cut you guys
Hold
off?
on.
Well, I'll ask
you got to
before
let
I
other people
actually
speak,
do.
Issa. Hold on, you've been objected to by QE. Go ahead, QE.
Yeah, you know you have. Now, I've told Issa, last night I told him to stop with this nonsense, right? Let me ask you a question. Watch how this goes. There's some history here. Issa, where'd you get that gravity and gravitation are not the same from?
I mean, you're going to try to say I got it from cathexis, but it's not true. I brought it to cathexis' attention, actually.
All right. I took cathexis by the hand and showed him that he was full of crap, right? It took a while to get that out of him. It was like an Alabama tick, right? And now all of a sudden, last night I told Issa the same thing, to stop doing that crap because it's meaningless. Can you look in live stream right now? What's that say from Britannica.com?
I don't know. Let me see.
Can you read it out loud for us, Issa? I can't bring it up on screen, so if you could read it, I'd be
What's
much
that?
appreciative.
Yeah, sure. Let me see. Oh, I gotta get down here.
What's the last message?
Let's see. What gravity, also called gravitation, in mechanics, the universal force of attraction acting between all matter. Yeah, I mean in that context, also called gravitation, sure.
In that
You know what I
context.
mean? But they make the distinction. But notice they make the distinction. You know what I mean? They
No,
say
they don't.
specifically, you know what I mean?
Gravity,
Yes,
also
like,
called gravitation. Same thing. I told you this.
I don't know. I just think, and you know, even you may you may be right, but I just think it looks silly when we say gravity doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. They do look silly.
I mean, I define it as weight. You can define it.
You can define it as weight. It's not what you define it as. It's what secular community defines it as. What do they define
Right,
it
and the
as?
secular community looks at you like you're retarded.
No, they don't. And I make them look retarded.
Okay.
That's right.
Esau, they define it as not a force.
Again, I've already identified that I don't think this is a problem with ESA versus GE. It's ESA versus the people on the flat Earth side that he's got an issue with. Because I know ESA's covered this subject. ESA's been here longer than most of you on the panel. You realise that, right?
Yeah, I know that.
Yep.
Right, so
I
his
still
issue,
object to him though.
his issue isn't.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying, show me.
Well,
I'm not from the show
all I
me
could-
state, but just show me that shit.
All I could say, just because he's been here a long time, doesn't carry any weight with me.
No, it does. Well, I can vouch for him. I know.
Well, can I just?
Just one second. Just one second. I know Issa knows these arguments. I know him. I've stood beside him arguing them. Right, so that isn't an issue. I don't need to argue that about Issa. But as I've said already, when the penny dropped, this isn't a problem with Issa not knowing how to pummel a fundy without gravity. He can. I know. I've watched him. Right, that isn't the problem. The problem is flat earthers also assert it, don't they, Issa?
What was it? They assert what?
What are we talking about again? I don't know. I think we're talking about axial gravity, Issa. Gravity.
Yeah. No. Hey, yo, and I will grant you, in the colloquial sense, you're right, dude. They've totally just made the term equal gravitation. I get
That's not colloquial.
I mean, I don't know. It's up for debate, isn't it?
It's not up for debate. I just showed. See, there's a problem here because you just read this, right?
I just showed you a definition that says that people have confounded the two terms.
You just.
So what for that?
You just what?
I read a definition, I think, before you arrived. That's from a dictionary from back in the day, and it talks about how people have confounded the two terms, gravity and gravitation.
That's bullshit.
And this is my. What, did I not just? I mean, do you want the link? What do you mean bullshit?
Yeah, I just gave you the link, Cathexis.
I'll give you. What are we just gonna throw links at each other? Like,
yeah, it's
like,
a simple definition of word.
Okay, fine. I'll put a link in myself then. Sure.
Go ahead, put your
I'm
link
just trying
in.
to say, like, it's interesting that this is. Here, I'll get it for you. Hold on.
It's real interesting. I enjoy this.
Yeah, you can't stay friends with everyone. Sometimes you're going to fall out with people over this. Now, I promise you, Issa, even if you invoke this shit, I mean, this position that you're deciding to take indefinitely, I'll still be friends with you. I won't fall out.
You slick bastard. You slick bastard.
I mean, you say you're my boy, bro. I love you to death, but as soon as you say gravity, I'm gonna be like, "That's cool. What is that?" And show me that. That's it.
Right. Well, I'm saying you don't believe it.
Yeah, after the sparring match, I'd like to point out what I think is the problem with all of this.
You can do it now. Say it now. Hold on. Go ahead, Elijah.
Well, they force us. I mean, it was as simple as, oh shit. Sorry for the cursing. It's still morning. Water's level, right? And so here we are, years later, coming up with all of these arguments when it's as simple as, wait a minute, water doesn't bend around balls, and gas doesn't hold itself around the outside of balls. Like it was as simple as that. So my point is that they drag us into these confrontations in which we have to pick the position that they've set up for us. Right? What is that called a false dichotomy?
No, I know what you're saying. You're saying that they tend to set you up for a burden of proof reversal fallacy, and when they take a positive position that you counter, they'll claim that your counter is actually the positive claim being made. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Quick question for Eve.
So, because he literally said, right? He said, you said, well, what the cause is, we can argue about it. That's like when they say, well, you believe the earth is flat. No, I don't. You believe, not you, Issa, you believe the earth is a globe. I don't believe shit. If I just wake up going on about my day, there's nothing to believe. I have to take on this belief of a globe, but you want the people to think that, okay, well, your position is this and my position is that. Actually, no, I just woke up. Your claim is this.
Yeah, you're right. That is a false dichotomy also. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Also, below this video, there is a link to get £50 back for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Maybe not.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, Brian, I think I agree with you, but every time I try to do that, they say I'm forcing something on them.
Don't let them
All
put
right,
weight upon you.
I got the link. Okay, what's the problem here?
Are you guys back? Issa, are you there?
Hello.
I got you, John. Can you hear us?
Yeah, everything's
hear you.
fine.
Where'd Issa go?
I think
Issa,
you might have an issue.
Check.
Got you,
go
got
ahead.
you.
Go ahead. You want to do it first, Nathan? Yeah, you're good, Issa.
Can I just ask one question? I'm just curious on this, Issa, just as to, I think Nathan's alluded to it, but is the reason that we're having to stick with this definition that something existing because there's a concept within flat earthers that there is a maybe of different causative origins, but there is an overreaching force which is the causation for orientation of direction, direction of orientation with regards to relative density, disequilibrium ordering. Is it that you're trying to keep this term in there because some people consider that there is an overreaching force still, which is elucidating the effects of density disequilibrium?
Well, that's an interesting point. And my issue really, because I don't have, let's say, an answer. You know, I have an electromagnetic opinion, let's say, if you will, about shit. But I also
Really?
like
Light.
But I think,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah.
But-
That
What are you
answers your
talking
question.
about electromagnetic? What are you
Look,
talking
just
about?
guys, stop. Just read between the lines. He has an electromagnetic opinion. Enough lines for you to read between there, Adam?
I think that's answered me fully. Thank you.
We got lines.
Right. And that's what, I say that, right. And you're right. I should cover more of what I, or explain more. But I think the cause is something radically different than what they tell us. But my point is
The cause of what now? Sorry, the cause of what?
Wait.
You beat me to it, damn it.
The weight. Sorry, I've got a helium balloon. It's just about to go up into. Just about to let go of a helium balloon,
But if
Issa.
you take
Sorry,
the helium
Issa,
out of it, the balloon's gonna fall.
Issa. I know we're on to
What's the
establishing the
helium gonna
cause
do?
of weight, right? But I've got this helium balloon. What's it weighing? Is it 9.8 meters per second downward?
I mean, if there's no helium in the balloon's going to fall, probably.
It's specifically
But
the helium that I'm talking
not saying
about.
that helium. I mean, I'm not trying to espouse that. I think you're right. I think and I just kind of get what you're pointing at. Are you getting?
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
hold on one sec. Let me just ask. So like you're trying to say that the paradigm is between buoyancy and density, and gravity has nothing to do with it.
No, buoyancy also invokes gravity. You may not be aware of that.
Okay, fair enough. But what we I guess without the effect of gravity involved in the equation, what we colloquially call buoyancy and density are the opposites of this thing. In the sense of gravity, you have no alternative that would lift it up, which makes total sense. Like I get your argument. I really do. You know what I mean? Like,
So,
and that's
well,
quite something I believe. But
It's
you know
not
what
an
I mean? But
argument.
my
It's
point
a
is,
question you've evaded quite successfully. So you're being asked, what is gravity? That's the initial question.
right? And my question is, my response would be wait.
Sorry, back to the helium balloon.
Wait, okay.
Go quickly.
All right. Am I on deck?
You want me to do what now?
Go.
Am I on deck?
On deck?
Yeah, go.
What am I hearing? What am I?
on deck.
It's a baseball term. It's a baseball term. Okay. It means who's next up at bat. Who's up at bat next? Am I on deck?
Because you're conflating. What's the problem? You probably already went over this because I got on the show late. So you posted your link, right? So what are you?
You're so dramatic, Huey.
Well,
no, look, I know Issa, you've spent a long time around ballers. Let's keep this concise, eh? Let's not have the colour commentary. Go ahead, QE.
Yeah, he's good. Me and Issa are good. We'll wrestle around in the mud, and I'll body slam him, and we'll be good for tomorrow. What is the issue here with your link? What's the problem here? The color commentary here, right? The words gravity and gravitation have been more or less confounded, but the most careful writers use gravitation for the attracting force and gravity for the terrestrial phenomena of weight.
Right, and they've confounded the terms.
Yeah.
I think
They've
that
confounded. Yeah, I got you. I'm not finished yet.
I think there's a third option, is all I'm saying.
Oh, really? We want to hear your third option to muddy the waters even further.
Just wait.
Go ahead.
No, it's just wait. Wait is the
Wait.
is my third option.
Wait in their fairy tale paradigm is F equal mg. Mg love you long time. So that's a force. So they're saying the same thing. I'm saying your entomology little dictionary right here, they're full of shit.
I'm just saying we're loading up a word with a bunch of theories, and I don't think that the term,
there's only one.
You know what I mean? I understand
there's
that
only
implies
one potential. Hold on. There's only one potential theory with gravity, and that is Albert Einstein in 1915. So you said theories. What's the other theory?
Well, I would think just the term gravity and gravitas, if we're evolving into gravity. I don't know if that that changed because of whether. Hold on, I don't know if that changed because we stopped speaking Latin, or if it's because we've implied these terms to this word. And that's my issue, is that I think we've implied these terms to this word that really I don't want to give to the ballers to use in that sense. And it cuts the legs out from under them once you understand, in my opinion. And I've seen whatever. It's like you're cutting the legs off of their gravitational argument when using the term gravity, and we're reclaiming the word for its original origin, which was simple, which just meant that things have a certain weight to it.
You
Wait, isn't this your position, Brian?
Hang on,
though?
Elijah,
I've heard you
sorry,
say the
Elijah.
same thing. Yeah.
Elijah, hang on. Sorry, hang on. I told you earlier on, we already had a word for weight in the English dictionary, and it's weight. We already had a word for heavy, and it's heavy. And both of those in Latin means gravitas. So the word gravity has nothing to do with weight or heavy. It's got to do with the cause of weight and heavy.
What about before?
Sorry, 1 second, Kiwi.
What about
There's no
before
point
that?
in
What
saying
do we
gravity
use the
needs
term?
weight
We also-
when we already have a word for weight. It's weight. Sorry,
and
Kiwi.
it comes from the word gravitas, which just what I mean. Like, this is my point.
Yes,
like,
and
this is
gravitas
where,
isn't. Hold on, Issa. Gravitas is a different word.
Only because it's in Latin and not English.
So it's a different word.
In Latin, it's spelt differently.
And if only we
That's
spoke
about it.
Latin, right? That's your angle so far.
Well,
we're not.
Well, here's my thing. You've heard me say this before, Nathan? There's three types of language. There's legal, there's business, and there's slang. And slang changes all the time. Business changes periodically as people adapt terms. And the legal side of language, which a lot of it is in Latin, is forever, is permanent. That's why you can still use Latin terms in a court of law, because these terms are forever. So like
Yeah.
when the idea of like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
when we
yeah.
say
And the
gravitas,
term gravitas, meaning weight, you could argue always. I use the word gravitas, meaning weight. I use that word.
right, if you were in Italy, people would know what you mean.
And
But
no,
we're
in
over
English,
here,
people know what I mean. I say his statement had a lot of gravitas. Yeah, that's a statement I would use in English. And the word has
right,
the
because
same
you're
meaning. But
adopting you're
Issa,
adopting a
please,
Latin
Issa,
term.
Issa, please.
Oh, go on.
You're saying it's got the same word. It's not. It's a different word, because gravity isn't gravitas. They're different words.
Yeah, right. One is Latin, one is English. You know what I'm saying?
No, they have different meanings, Issa.
We're not going to
They
get past
mean two
this.
different things.
Just
What
just for
I'm
my own
trying to- what
benefit,
I'm
because I've
saying
said
is
it 4
that
times now.
in my estimates, they-
Issa, can you
they
look up?
superimpose this shit.
Issa, just look up what an etymological fallacy is. Just look it up.
I mean, I'm not looking up right now, but I'm sure I can understand what you mean.
That's what you're committing.
But I think that they've done an etymological fallacy on our use of the term gravity. Is my point.
I think you might have.
Yeah, you're the one doing it.
Issa, have you? So you think that
I don't know. We can
what
agree
do
to
you think
disagree on
causes
it. I
weight,
don't know.
or things to go down? Then what do you think when let's say something? Let's say I leave go of my phone and it falls to the ground. What is it that you're saying causes that to happen?
You're
Wait.
misunderstanding. Issa's not talking about a cause. He's talking about the use of the word.
Hang on.
If you look at you look at Merriam-Webster's dictionary and dictionary.com, the
I'm
number 2
asking
definition for the
Issa.
word gravity is weight or heaviness. I think you guys are
I'm asking
misunderstanding
Issa.
the gravity of Issa's words in his
I'm
context.
asking Issa. Hello, I'm asking Issa.
Oh, what's up? What's up? What world?
I asked, right. I'm asking you, right? When I leave go of my phone and it falls to the ground, what is it that you are saying is the cause of that?
It's actually what it is an electromagnetic tree in the center of the Earth that actually is swimming around in the cosmic ether.
What
what
the
else?
fuck?
No,
Okay, no worries.
What else?
That's
I
the
can
end.
answer
No
all
worries,
your
no worries.
questions.
No, guys, hello, stop.
don't-
Hello. What world? Feel free. Can you reiterate your point? Just don't reference it back to Issa at this stage.
Just saying that if you look in the live stream, there's 2 other definitions other than the one that QE posted for the definition of gravity. And number 2 on each of those, one from dictionary.com and one from Merriam-Webster's dictionary.com, is gravity also means heaviness or weight.
Okay, no worries. But the problem with that definition is we can debunk it with a helium balloon.
I agree with you actually, because there's no alternative to
Hold
gravity,
on, Issa.
which is really
Issa,
interesting.
please.
Oh, forgive me.
What world? Yeah, that's fascinating, but wrong.
Issa,
Well, there
would
again,
you
we're not
answer my
arguing
question honestly,
we're not
please?
arguing the cause. We're just arguing the definition, right?
Cause of what? Cause of what now?
Gravity.
Sorry, that would be weight, right? Sorry, I've got this helium balloon. Can you give me the gravity for it? What's causing it to go down with weight? Oh, it's not. So that's the end of that then.
Not arguing up and down.
Sorry, you are. You're saying gravity, weight, down.
I'm just saying that as it's defined on these 2 citations,
I heard.
it means heaviness or weight.
I heard. And I also said that's wrong. And then showed why it's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. Okay,
Well,
that's the only ending to this conversation.
That's what it's defined though as at those 2 citations. That's how they define it, not me.
That's nice.
They're defined.
I'm not making any
in
claims.
English language terms, aren't they? So if you were speaking colloquially, you could use that, as a development of language past the point. So it's a reassignment of the word, isn't it? But what you wouldn't do is use that word with its reassigned meanings if you were talking to somebody in terms of physics, because it would cause great confusion when they're particularly in the in the formula W equals M times G, doesn't it? Because your W's and your G's need defining. So when we're talking in a physics term, we define them as we understand them and don't allow a colloquial saying, oh, the gravity of the situation, meaning the heaviness in this case. You don't
Well, what's the
integrate that
definition
when
of
you're
a
talking
person?
physics and try to use that colloquial term as some validation in physics, which could only lead to confusion and nonsense.
Well, yeah, we'll
So
take it like this,
maybe
though.
this
What's the
won't be
definition of
my
person?
best
Mr. Meekin,
Time.
what's the definition of
attempt
person?
at
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Just wait. Issa was trying to get a word in, and then you came in after. Just if Issa can go first, then
Yeah,
you can go after.
thank you, Nathan. Meekin, like, what's the definition of person? Like, I love that person.
Well, I'm only saying if I was pick another word.
Well, hold on, no, because check it out. If we're in a banker's meeting, one sec. If we're in a banker's meeting and I talk about a person is akin to a corporation. Now, to the average person,
No,
they're going to be like,
I don't
"Oh my
do
god,
this.
like
Issa,
I'm not a corporation."
please. I don't want this segue.
Well,
Talking
no, my point is
specifically
it's
about
the
weight and
superimposition
gravity.
of an idea on a word.
The point being, if I'm in a physics meeting and I say, what's your gravity? Yeah, and start interchanging the two terms when they are clearly defined within physics and have a specific meaning distinguishable from each other. In fact, one is a derivation of the other. If in a physics meeting I started doing that, people would look at me as if, what's this numpty on about? He doesn't know the difference between weight and gravity. He keeps interchanging.
I imagine if you were in there in a physics
absolute
meeting and you were like, "Well, let's define
in terms of physics.
define the term gravitation," they'd be like, "Yo, wow, this is an interesting conversation."
What you want about? Why do you keep interchanging these well-defined terms and getting them wrong?
Because I look at it like they've superimposed a definition and people are running with that definition. Is all I'm saying.
Did you understand his
But
point,
people,
though,
I
Issa?
mean, who am I? Who am I?
Issa, using the same excuse, it just seems like you've completely ignored what he's just said. What did he just say to you?
No, he's saying that if he's in a business meeting, he's got to use.
No, that's not what he's saying.
Forgive me, the physics meeting.
You didn't listen. Issa, stop. No, he's not saying if you're in a business meeting. That's what you're saying. So you didn't listen. You just listened to yourself.
He said a physics meeting, right? A room.
Right.
You can't use the word gravity without that meaning being attached to it. And my point is that in itself is a fucking.
Sorry, I'm asking you what his point is. Issa, stop, guys in G+.
Am I wrong,
please. Issa, his point is terms are rigorously defined. You're saying, well, if we're in a business meeting and terms mean this, no. In physics, when you're talking about how things work, that's physicality, physics. Things are rigorously defined. You don't interchange them colloquially based on 100-year-old dictionaries. That's not how it works in physics, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about alleged forces. That's physics. So rigorously defined words. So G, that would be rigorously defined. It isn't. That's the point.
I still have a question for Issa that he didn't answer correctly. Issa, I asked you that when I leave go of my phone and it falls to the ground, what is it that you infer would be the cause of that?
Gravity.
Right, define gravity.
It's a phenomena that when I drop my phone to the ground, it goes to the ground.
No, don't give me a bullshit. Don't give me bullshit. Right?
How's that bullshit?
Wait, because I didn't come on this show to listen to a load of bullshit, and neither did anyone
Well, how's
else.
it bullshit? How's it bullshit?
So I asked you a question. What is it you're inferring? Because that's what I'm getting from everything you're saying here. You're trying to infer something else and call it a gravity. That's what's going on.
I'm trying to say you're inferring that gravity means what they told you it means, and you're going along.
I know what gravity means. I'm looking at the definition on screen.
You know what it means. I get it, brother.
Well, Brian,
hang on, Elijah, he hasn't answered my question. So, when I leave go of my phone and it falls to the ground, what is causing that phone to fall down?
The magic tree at the center of the North Pole, bro.
No, don't give me a load of bullshit.
What? Prove I'm wrong.
No, you got to prove you're right first. That's an argument
when I fucking
from
hold my
ignorance
phone
fallacy.
up and things fall down.
That's an argument from ignorance fallacy.
But, no, what I'm saying is you're using a term incorrectly.
Hold on.
Guys, stop a second.
I did want to go.
Hello. Eli's been queuing for a while. Go ahead.
All right. So when we ask him what gravity is, he says wave. Then he's also detailing that when he picks up his phone, he drops it, it's falling to the ground because it weighs something, right? So
He
if you
didn't say that,
okay, let's
Elijah. No, I'm sorry.
yeah,
That's not what happened.
yes, he did. Yes, he did.
didn't. I asked
I'm
him that,
listening
and
to
he
the
told me
whole.
a
No,
load of
no, I'm
rubbish.
not listening to the last 5 minutes, right? Of what you and him said. I'm pulling from what he said across this whole conversation, right? So he said wait multiple times when we asked him what gravity is, and then he detailed, well, that's his phone falling to the ground, right? So Nathan did ask him about a helium balloon, and he said take the helium out and the balloon will fall down. Okay, so now you have a canister or a container of helium, right? Now it weighs more, but you take that container away and it doesn't fall down like your phone. It goes everywhere else in all directions. Where's that weight? Even though it weighs something on a scale when you localize it in a container.
Elijah, you haven't been listening to the past 5 minutes. I asked.
Just specifically told you I wasn't talking about your 5 minutes. You tried to get him on something. He wiggled out of it. Now this is what I'm
trying to
doing.
get him on something. I'm trying to get some honesty out of him that he's not giving. And I'm
Guys,
pointing out that.
What I told you about
He's
my belief
answered-
about the
he's
magical
answered
tree at the North
honestly,
Pole, bro.
and
That's pretty
Isa,
fucking honest.
can I just ask, are you being serious? Because I think you are being serious when you say a magnetic aisle at the centre. And I understand what you mean by that, as to why that is. That your answer, and is that what you're actually alluding to, mate?
But I thought my
In
question
my
was
world,
perfectly.
man, the stars are like leaves on the tree of life, right? That's why you have meteor storms when the fall comes, right? Because the fucking leaves are falling off the trees of the heavenly stars. Now, that's my opinion. I'll be quite fucking real with you. But do I have, am I going to make that claim? No, not really.
No.
But the point is I
No,
will
but
argue.
that's why you. That's why
My
you were
idea-
holding the preservation of gravitation. I asked that question first. Why is the need to have this thing, reify this thing,
And
even if we're reifying it as something different? And your answer is that, and I don't disagree with that, because metaphysically that's a place you can go to explain all this, and I've been there. I'm not sure I agree with it, but I don't necessarily poo-poo it because I can't say no. There's
My
evidence.
point is that it's like imagine if like I took over society and renamed that term gravity into the the magical force coming from the North Pole and swimming in the ether and shit. Fucking like it's like and then commonly people go along and they carry on with the idea that, well, when you say gravity it means this. Well, there's going to be people back there that are going to say, well, actually gravity used to mean fucking, that things would, that meant gravitation or whatever. And then, I'm in the boat where I'm just saying, hey, before that, it meant just weight. It's just a phenomenon. I could make
that's
any
a logical
explanation for it.
fallacy. This whole argument is
I think I think saying gravity isn't
this
real
whole
is
point
etymological
is you are invoking an etymological fallacy. Do you know
No,
what
because
that
if I
means?
ask you what gravity means, you're going to
Do you
give
know
me
what
the
it means?
standard fucking this like lame.
I'm just
definition of
saying
gravity.
all this argument can be done with the etymological fallacy you're employing. You know what it means?
First thing I said.
The etymological fallacy is a genetic fallacy that holds that the present day meaning of a word or phrase should necessarily be similar to its historical meaning. You're guilty of the etymological fallacy. Game, set,
Well,
and match.
I think in turn you are, because you're implying.
No, you are.
Oh, right. No, you are.
Put on.
No, it's
I'm
you.
entitled to that, right? So like,
No,
the thing is,
you're
hold on.
committing
So,
an
like, you're
etymological fallacy,
implying-
QE.
You're putting gravitation to the term gravity because society is deeming that you do so.
That doesn't matter in
You're
physics.
You're
Who
following
cares?
along in an etymological
Right, that's
fallacy,
lovely.
and yet you're going to claim that I am, which to me is like my opinion. is kind of stupid.
There's this thing called slang. It changes all the time. Physics couldn't give a shit, though, because they have rigorously defined terms.
No, they're in like the business category. They changed.
No, they're
terms.
physics.
The Latin is
Physical.
Latin is before that, right? So let's go use the Latin. So it
No,
comes
we're not
from
in business. We're not
gravitas,
talking
so it means gravity.
business. We're talking physics. That's the physical and natural world, not business.
I mean, we can disagree on it. I really could.
We can, but I'd be right and you'd be
I
wrong.
enjoy the argument. I guess.
Just an
I think
etymological
that we're using-
fallacy.
I think society at large suffers from aphasia, the misuse and misunderstanding of words.
No, that's baller.
True.
It
So,
seems like
so
you're
was
the
what
only
I said
one
wrong?
suffering.
Because I was just thing I was trying to do is bring it back to Nathan's point, which you tried to take his actual, like he was like, what about gas? And you took it out of the example for whatever reason. And I was just trying to bring it back to that because there's the contradiction.
Yeah, but Elijah, just previous to that, I had asked this lad Isa 3 times overall for why when I leave my phone go, does it drop out of my hand, does it drop to the floor? And he gave me 3 total bullshit answers. So Isa,
because when you ask him why he doesn't care, he doesn't care why. He's just saying, but he doesn't care.
Let me speak. Let me speak. I'm not finished.
Well, you just took a. Well, I just tried
you're
to.
not leaving me finish. You're not
After
leaving
you
me
and
finish.
Okay, both of you, hold on. Both of you. Okay, hold on, guys. Hello, guys.
You're not leaving me speak.
Please, Eli, please. I've got to be able to retain some form of control. If you talk through me, Eli, I've got to retain control of the show. That means when I ask you, please let me take control. I understand you're looking for validation, and I agree with you. You're trying to get it back onto my point about gas go down, go boom, boom, and I agree. Brian's got a different point, but every time he tries to make it, you stop him. Please, I do agree with you. I would have taken it there. You took it there also, Eli. I agree with you. Doesn't mean Brian's point's invalid. He just needs to be able to stress the point of his point, which he hasn't managed to do on 3 separate occasions. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm not going to ask Isa that question again about why does my phone fall to the ground when I leave it go out of my hand. Isa, I don't have any trust in you. I believe that you believe that electrostatics or something are involved. You're not honest. You're not being forthright when I asked you a very simple question, and you didn't answer it. So I don't really know you, so I didn't know if I have respect or not respect for you. But from here on in, I will never trust you. Okay? That's the end of that.
Cool. Write a song about it, bro.
Well, that was
all I'm saying is that these terms are being misused. What? You gonna write a poem? What?
Yeah, you can go fuck yourself.
No need.
Why? What is all this?
No need.
You go write a song about it.
No need. Look, right. Hold on, Isa, hold on.
He secretly believes in electrostatics, and he's not honest enough to admit it.
Nathan, can you handle this fool?
Well, he's asking you a question, although he's getting a bit aggressive about it, and I will tone it down, hopefully, on your behalf if it continues. But he's still asking you a direct question about electrostatic forces and whether or not that is your motivation.
No, what I said, listen to me, dude. What I'm saying is that I really genuinely believe the stars are like leaves on a tree. I've said this before. If you think it's bullshit, that's fine. But the point is that you're going to judge me on this or whatever, dude. But the point is my thing is that when you say gravity doesn't exist, in colloquially speaking, it makes all of flat Earth look retarded.
Colloquially,
you said this about 6 times, man.
Yeah, that's my fucking issue, dude.
Hang
I'm
on,
gonna claim flat Earth. I don't want fucking
So the guy
moron
that
flat
believes
earthers out
stars
there.
on the
Gravity
tree
doesn't
says
exist.
we look silly saying gravity doesn't exist.
Doesn't. We can debunk it. Gas does not go down, go boom, boom at 9.8 meters per second. Gravity isn't real. We've debunked it. But to say that colloquially, that would be to use the slang terms of the men on the street, we'd look silly. Yeah, we're flat earthers, Isa. That's the last of my concerns.
Word.
Well, my thing is in trying to, let's say, discuss these topics
like
with
I asked
people that
before,
you want.
who looks sillier? The guy making the claim that can't back his claim with any evidence, or me who's asking for the evidence of the claim? Who's not getting
Are
any?
you trying?
Who looks
trying to
dumber?
make people look silly, or are you trying to communicate different ideas and get through to people and reach them with different
I just want
information?
somebody to, if they're gonna claim gravity, show me what that is.
No, it's a
What
fair
was
point.
wrong
Hold
with
on.
what just
Hold on.
Chocolate said?
No. That's backing Isa's point. I want to hear that a bit more expansively. Go ahead, What World? Can you say that again? Repeat it.
I think what Issa's getting at, and I think Mr. Meekin alluded to it earlier too, is if whatever situation you're in, whatever circumstance, you use words and terms most effectively for that situation. And if you are trying to reach people, it may not be the best idea to run up to a normie and start yelling at them that gravity doesn't exist without actually then going further and clarifying what you mean, or even not even approaching it that way.
I agree with that.
I mean, that might work
That's
for
not what
some people,
happens.
but I think
But
what
who does
Isa's
that?
getting
That's
at is
assuming-
you
that's
look kind of
assuming I'm
crazy
running
if
up
you
to
do
people on the
that.
street
First,
saying-
whoever's Discord rumpusing from G+, please, he just needs to finish his statement before you all jump on him. Carry on, Whatworld, sorry.
I'm just saying, if you run up to somebody like that, or you just scream it from the rooftop that gravity doesn't exist, people are going to think you're crazy. I think Isa has a point there.
Who's doing that? Like, this is what I'm saying.
who's
Now we're
doing that?
talking about this is what I mean by them dragging us into arguments that we shouldn't have been in. We should have got up and got a cup of coffee and continued on the fucking stationary plane like it is, as it were. Like, look, dude, I'm not running up to people and telling them, hey, gravity doesn't exist. I'm running up to them and saying, hey, your religion or your religious assertion that I live on a ball that's spinning in the vacuum of space is absurd. And then they'll say gravity, and I'll ask them what it is. And then I'll explain to them how they're
don't let
100
gravity
years
keep you
out
down,
of
bro.
date. That's it.
Don't let
That's not
gravity
me
really
running up
angry
to
about
someone
it.
and saying,
Let's
you
just
know,
let him finish his statement. Go ahead, Eli.
that's not me running up to people and saying gravity is gravity is
Whatever.
fake. That's way out of context.
Yeah, usually the ones making the claim will bring that word up, and that's when I ask them, what is that, and can I have evidence for that? Right? I don't
Right.
run up to people and say, oh, that gravity doesn't exist. I'm usually the one saying, what is that? What's gravity? As soon as you say it, I don't have to say it. That's not my claim.
Okay, just to put it back to Whatworld. So what's being put back to you, Whatworld, is that nobody's running up to people saying gravity's not real. It might come up in conversation that the sky vacuum isn't real because you can't have gas pressure without a container, and the reply you would receive would be, well, gravity holds it here.
And then the response would be gravity doesn't exist.
Yeah, and then give you the list of reasons why it doesn't. You want to go
Precisely.
through it?
Yeah, yes, please, yes.
No, I'm good on all that. I'm just saying I hear that a lot. I hear that gravity doesn't exist, and then I don't hear anything else.
No, that's good.
No,
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
bullshit.
Whatworld, hold
Not
on.
from me.
Please.
No, not from you, not from a lot of
Guys,
people
hello?
here, but I still hear it.
Hello? Yeah, I know you're all good with that, Whatworld, but I've got an audience. So, yes, please, QE. So you get to the point where, right, space isn't real. Well, no, gravity's real. Well, no, it isn't real. Here's why. Go ahead, QE.
No, I would always say, just like Elijah brought up, that's usually the scenario that happens. We wait for them to bring it up. And then I say to them, gravity, which one? Your turn.
Yeah, I always say, yo, what is gravity?
Not you, Isa.
Not you, Whatworld.
You know?
Whatworld's playing devil's advocate for our benefit in terms
Oh,
of
I
how
am?
we're perceived, and I want his reply.
Okay.
Go ahead, Whatworld.
Which one?
Yep.
Wait.
Wait. That's not gravity.
Sure. Well, it could be though, right?
And we're talking about the physical and natural world, right?
Are you trying to tell me that we don't experience a terrestrial phenomena known as weight?
No,
Things
because
having
it's
weight?
not fucking weight. I said which one? There's two types of gravity known in physics, or what they call physics. What are they?
I believe gravitation, that's a force, or
it's
the
not.
bending of the warping
No,
of the
there's
curvature of
two
space-time.
versions of gravity.
Yeah, and he gave him. He said a force. He means Newtonian. Let's just brush this along. And he also said bending space-time. He did define
Newtonian
them.
or Einsteinian? Would you prefer that?
There we
That's
go. He's done it.
faster, easier.
Yeah, Newtonian, Einsteinian.
Yep.
Done. Moving on.
Sure.
Yep, there you go. So which one are you talking about? Newtonian or Einsteinian?
Well, I don't usually talk about either.
That's the wrong answer. You brought it up.
Okay, can I speak on your behalf?
I did. I thought I was talking about a different way of communicating with people.
Exactly.
You can't
So
communicate
his argument.
differently. We're using words of English and physics.
Sure.
Sure. Guys,
Isn't the
problem
third
isn't-
option just wait?
Just 1 second. The problem
No.
isn't in this circle, although it is at the moment, if you know what I mean. The problem is that there's a perception from people who are, what would you call them, toddlers with a chainsaw, that don't understand the arguments, that go around and they do say gravity's not a force and haven't got a clue how to back it. And they do look stupid. It's just not us.
So in live stream from NASA, there are two versions of gravity, Newton and Einstein. There you go. So now we're on the same sheet. Are we good?
False paradigm.
I said this. False dichotomy.
It's not ours. Theirs.
False paradigm, huh? Well, NASA and the secular community is who we're up against. So that's the way they're defining it.
So when you
I'm
say
gonna put
gravity
them-
doesn't exist, you think?
So
they
I'm
take
going to
it
put
seriously?
them on the stand, Isa, and I'm going to rock their world. You got me.
Sure.
Okay, I'm glad we've got to the
So-
conclusion, but because
too,
there's
I've heard it.
just one sec. There's an overriding
Huey's like
conclusion.
the local blonde that's going
Okay,
to Hollywood.
Issa, this
I'm
is
gonna
for you,
go to
my friend.
Hollywood and be
Oh
a
God,
star.
oh God, it's not going to stop. This is the overriding conclusion, Issa. So as much as it seems everyone on the panel is pretty much on the same page in terms of debunking heliocentric assertions of downward vectors 9.8 meters per second, we also have a fringe community of people that have a different alternative understanding and explanation for what they call colloquially gravity. Now, I've got to be blunt, couldn't give a shit. Those people are so small in number compared to the overriding general population that think there's a downward vector force or bending space-time conceptual medium. That's what I'm concerned with. So as much as it's no disrespect to you with your leaves of forces or whatever you've got with the stars, great. That's not for me to fight with you over. Same with Bob No Doubt.
It's not leaves of you're putting mystical words in my mouth, bro.
It's because I don't know it well enough. I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to condescend to your ideas of what you colloquially call gravity. That's not my intention. And by the same token, I couldn't care less about fighting all day with other people on my own side of the flat Earth argument who have their own conceptions about what this thing they call colloquially gravity is. They're so small in number that it makes no difference to me. Now, don't get me wrong, there are certain people who see it as extremely important to the point where they'll lose friends, subscribers, and indeed the point that we're actually fighting against to make this point about people on their own side who have a different colloquial meaning for this word. It's just not important to me. That's the overriding point I want to get across on this show. That I don't care if Bob No Doubt's got a different idea about gravity. The world at large thinks it's either bending space-time or a downward vector. And that's what I'm fighting against, not Bob or you.
Nathan, let me just point this out, and this is what I really am trying to point out, I suppose, is that in a lot of these issues, including the horizon, any one particular issue of the earth sciences, a lot of people are under the impression that there's only this concrete way that it is. And I think one way that we do win is when we show how complicated something as simple as perspective is, or we show that's what brings people into the discussion because they're like, whoa, I didn't know it was so complicated. And I think like personally in my own struggles in talking about this subject have disarmed a lot of people just showing how this term that they've implied all of this, pardon the pun, weight to, like, isn't necessarily all supposed to, like, in my essence, and looking at the strict definition of it, you can call it an etymological fallacy or whatever, it is how I see it, that this word's been overcomplicated. But once you show people that there is this complication regarding this term, regarding the horizon, regarding every single aspect of this discussion, it just, I think it softens people to be, to accept the idea that quote unquote gravity doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean, brother?
That's a
reasonable
That's exactly
approach.
what Chocolate said.
Yeah, and it's a reasonable approach. Meanwhile, there is something to be said for slapping somebody around their globe Earth believing face and pointing out where they're wrong and showing them exactly how they're wrong.
Yeah, I've been there. Hey, am I not one of the OGs of that, Nathan?
I know, that's why I'm saying it.
And fucking rip those dudes a new one every time. My recollection of it anyway, and so I feel you. I've softened my rhetoric. That's all, brother.
Hey, Esau, can I try a test on you?
Sure. What do you got?
Here we go. After this show, I'm fixing to go to work. After this show, I'm fixing, keyword fixing, to go to work. How am I using that word fixing?
I mean, I know what you mean by it. You're going to be getting yourself together to be going to work.
Yeah, but what does fixing mean?
I can imagine it means you're repairing something.
Okay, so how did I use the word fix in its term fixing and go to work? How did I use that word? After this
'Cause
show,
you're
I'm
re-
fixing to go to work.
because you're repairing your disheveled state into a more presentable state.
What does the word fixing in Latin mean?
You mean bacon
I
bits and
don't know,
lettuce and
actually.
stuff?
See, the whole
I don't
point
know.
is
What
this.
does it
I could
mean?
use the word fixing, right? So many ways. But if I'm going to do what Adam said, go into a physics situation, I've got to have the right word with that one definition, or else everything gets screwed up.
Well, I mean, like, let's say, like, if you asked me that question, I could be like, why? What'd you fuck up? And you might laugh.
But what
'cause
if
that's a
I
funny
say,
remark. But
what if I say to you,
I
how's
mean, I
it
don't know. It's
going?
like, my point is that,
Hang
like,
on.
there's
What?
You're
Hang
right.
on,
You
Isa.
load these
Isa.
terms up.
Is it, the point
Isa,
here?
hang on.
Hold on, guys. The point here is colloquially, right? When you say, "Oh, well, you've effed something up," well, no, because if in physics it's not defined, and someone sees the word fixing, and then they go get a load of bacon bits, yeah, doesn't mean anything's been messed up. It just means it needs bacon bits on it. Oh dear, it's got more than one colloquial definition. But in this particular arena, we're only dealing in the physical and natural world. That's what we only focus on. So we're
Are
definitely
you
not talking
referring
about
to
bacon
the
bits.
fixins? That's funny. Fixins.
Yeah, so
You talk about bacon.
here's the last one. How's it going? What am I saying when I say, Isa, how's it going?
I don't know. Is your refrigerator running? Should you catch it? You know what I mean? I get it, dude.
Hey, I think
You
the
know what I'm
audience
saying?
gets the
Like,
point.
is your
Going.
nose running? I get it.
See, going now means, are you well? What's your day
Right,
like?
but here's my thing is that we're allowing
Hang on,
them this.
Isa. Calm down for a minute. How is it going? I'm not using going in its strictest sense now, am I? I'm saying, how's your day? What's going on? You see, it's so
technically
simple.
that's not true. You see, in pseudo force space, you are kind of going.
Oh, too much, man.
I think, Tent, you're expecting a straight answer out of this guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to get one from this guy.
No, you
because
won't
he
get one
says-
out. Because you know why? Because he's too smart to give a straight answer.
No,
he's
don't
smarter than all the rest
get
of us.
annoyed with Issa, right, Brian?
He's a really smart fella.
Please, I beg of you, right? Issa's annoying, and your passion is derived from the fact that he is on our side, in the same way as, say, Anthony Riley gets annoyed with Bob Nodell. But it's misplaced passion, right? It really is. He's a good guy, I promise you. It seems like he's giving you the shit show and run around. He's
offer my
not.
forgiveness for saying anything bad
Nathan,
to you
that's
earlier,
not my
but
problem.
I really don't. I don't want to
I don't
fight
care what
nobody.
side he's
Hold on,
on.
Ethan. I just want to hear
What
Brian
I care
moan.
about is that he gives me BS answers and tries to bring me around the circle. I asked him very straight, honest questions. He wasn't willing to answer them. I don't
Yeah,
I'm not willing to do that. I don't
Just
care
let me
about
defend
their
him.
personality
Hello,
or how
hold
popular
on.
they are.
I know. Right. Have you hold on, Brian?
Just,
have you had
just
1 second,
that,
Adam?
mate.
Just want to level this out with Brian. Have you ever had a conversation with Spurs Schemo, Brian?
Yeah, I get honesty out of Spurs.
Yeah, but you will find that there are certain circumstances where Issa and Spurs behave in exactly the same way, and it's because of the longevity of their time in this debate arena. So they become a bit like the enemy in terms of the way he's giving you the runaround, the circular reasoning, and the shit answers. Yeah, that is very baller-esque, and it does invoke the same reaction. But it used to be the case, I'm taking it away from Issa because he's here, that I would get that annoyed in the same way with Spurs. You know, to the point where I start getting conspiratorial, and even Sleeping Warrior would be like, he's a paid shill, he's here to do it deliberately. It's like, no, he isn't. Right? It's just, sometimes people like Issa and Spurs will pick up the traits of the ballers and give you the runaround rather than concede, because they know how to do it. Nothing more. I just don't take it personally or that he's a shithead. He's not. I promise.
I know how to do it too.
Thank you, Nathan.
2015. I'm here since
Do you think you want to
2015,
thank him for
Nathan.
that?
It's called sarcasm.
Sorry.
I'm trying to hear Brian.
Let me respond to
Guys,
Nathan.
Peanut Gallery. Brian, go ahead.
Let me respond to Nathan. I'm here since 2015, Nathan. I've listened to all kinds of rubbish. And when someone's not willing to give me a straight answer, it means two things. One, they're treating me like an idiot, right? And everyone else that's listening. And two, there's something they're hiding. So I don't trust that person. I don't care how popular they are. I don't care how long they're here. They're not to be trusted. And I will be proven correct on this in time.
Joe, you don't even know.
Well, now well, give me 1 second, Adam.
Hold on,
because
Adam
I'm
next.
busting at Brian.
Adam next.
Who was first? Okay, go ahead, Adam.
That's why I first interjected when you two were there, and I asked Is the point, and he clarified it 100% for me. I put it. I knew I know where he's going, and this is probably part of the difference. I asked him the question, and I knew what the answer meant. Yeah, he wasn't bullshitting, but he wasn't going to go into a long, convoluted story about dipolar, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So when I asked the question, I got the answer, and that's why I stopped, because I understood what he was saying there with regards to. I don't think, Brian, he was bullshitting you like that, but yeah, there is a bit of ball winning there, but that's Issa, isn't it? That's part of the fun.
I mean,
you asked me a question. Sorry, go on, Elijah.
Go on, Eli.
But see, I was attempting to kind of combine forces with you, Brian, but then you stopped me to not really like it took effectiveness away from the argument that I plated just to say you don't like his tactics. Now, can we get an answer from for what I put forth earlier?
You want to get back
into
it?
That wasn't what happened, Eli. That wasn't what happened.
You're doing it again right now.
You told me that you didn't care about the past 5 minutes of conversation before what you were going to say.
That's not what he said.
Because I did, but what I meant was you didn't just have 5 minutes worth of conversation. We were all talking, you included, for this whole show. So I was talking to all of that, not just the last 5 minutes at that time.
Yes, but you just said a minute ago you were going to support me. But then you came in what you came in
right, because you asked
completely
him,
not supporting what I was asking.
That's not true.
Why was I asking that question then, Eli? Why was I asking Isa? Why does my phone drop on a let go? Why did I ask him that?
I don't know
because we never got there.
I would assume that.
We don't know. Don't assume. Stop. Hello. We never got there. I tried 3 times. Brian never got to his point. He never got there. We don't know because he didn't get there.
I'd say it if you want.
I thought the answer was wait.
No, I know.
Oh, why? My bad. Why you? Okay, go ahead.
The reason I was asking is because he was trying to infer something with the word gravity, and he wasn't being direct and honest about it. And I wanted to know if he had a different view on why things fell. Let's say something as heavy as my phone, why that would fall to the ground. I asked him that because I wanted to know if he was maybe inferring electrostatics or something else besides relative density. That's where I was trying to get to. And he didn't answer that 3 times. So that
but here's the thing.
Hold on, Eli. Hold on. Hello. I do want to hear from Issa, but Adam got him there in the end. But yes, go ahead, Issa.
Well, I just want to say, I said it I said what I was saying 4 times. And the thing is, when I was, I think Meekin understood, when I was like, I have an electrostatic opinion, it's like electromagnetic opinion. He understood that I'm implying all of those things that you may be familiar with. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Electromagnetic,
Exactly.
I get all that.
I picked up on
my
it.
thing is that I'm not going to.
As a matter of fact, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're
I
good.
picked up on that too. I mean, the bottom line is you think something causes your phone to drop. That's the bottom line. Okay, so you wanted to hear him say it was electrostatics. There you are. Now I can still insert my question. What about electrostatics is stopping the air from the tank going in all directions? It's the same question.
Right. The point I just summarised for Issa's benefit, and then we'll have Issa's response. You're invoking a cause for a non-existent phenomena. So when we say, well, what is this force? Well, you say it's a force of gravity, but what is it? Okay, well, it's weight. Well, that's asserting the downward vector. Okay, well, that's not applicable when it comes to gas. So this explanation, gravity, for this phenomena, weight, isn't true in everything we experience, because gas does not go boom boom at 9.8 meters per second for you to invoke trees of, I don't want to sound derogatory, whatever you on the non-globe Earth side invoke as this explanation that isn't required because the phenomena doesn't exist.
Yeah, I
That's
think
why
you know
his tree
the interesting
argument
thing.
is out on a limb.
Hold on, 10th. I got the pun though. You snuck it in. Go ahead, Issa.
Oh no, I was just thinking of like you know you made a good point, and I think this is really an interesting point. Is that there's no opposite to gravity. Like, you know what I mean? Like the idea that, I mean, unless they're going to go centripetal or fugal, whatever the fuck it is, like, you know what I mean? Like they're going to, like, there's no, like, you know, when we talk about buoyancy or relative density, you have density and the buoyancy, which explains the, you know, whatever. Gravity doesn't have that. It doesn't have a negative, let's say. You know what I mean? Am I wrong with that? Like, you know, is
Yeah,
that
you
what
are.
I mean?
Yeah,
You know,
it
dark
does.
matter and all the
Yeah,
rest of
but
it.
I said this
Like
earlier. Yes, you are wrong. Buoyancy invokes gravity. So in terms of having 9.8 meters per second pulling on the surrounding environment to force disequilibrium
well, what
and
would you
push
call
things
it then?
up,
What do you call it?
that also implies that you've got this layered on
Well,
globe Earth.
okay, so what do you call like a piece of wood floating on water?
Wood floating on water. It's an equilibrium.
Right, but you know, is that a scientific term? I mean,
Equilibrium.
I just,
Yeah,
like
an
all I'm
equilibrium.
saying
That
is, aren't we
explains it.
implying, you
Your
know,
wood on water,
density and buoyancy?
volume, area, design, and displacement. That
Thing is,
explains every bit of it.
it's not a phenomena. Wood on water, not really a phenomena.
Well, how about this then? So let me try to put it out like this. What you're saying that I'm saying about density and buoyancy being that it involves this whatever, and I'm superimposing gravity by using the term buoyancy. I think in the same light that you're using the term gravity and superimposing gravitation, if that makes any fucking sense.
The same thing.
Right. No, I agree with you. I agree. Like, you know, I mean, my point is that it's the conundrum that's intriguing. I don't even think there, you know, I don't know if there's an argument to be won, but I think the conundrum in the conversation, this is why I bring it up, because I'm interested with words and I want to disarm the intellectual adversary. Right.
Isn't
So
the
it's like,
real
you know,
conundrum making a claim and not having any support for that
well,
claim?
my point is that I can
Thank you,
refute their
Chocolate.
claim
Would that
based
be
on the
them in
grounds
the
of the
conundrum?
definition right away. So much like you're doing, you know what I mean? Like I'm just saying I go to the point of the letter of the word. And I think in the same sense, when I use the term buoyancy, you're doing this, you know, you're
Did you just
imposing
not
again
hear
gravity.
Chocolate? Did you just not hear Chocolate?
What happened to
You just
Chocolate?
ramble on. You just ramble on after Chocolate made such a good point. Chocolate, say it again.
No, I'll just ramble on. It's okay. Thanks, though. No.
I said, wasn't the conundrum actually making a claim and not having any support for your claim or evidence? Isn't that the real conundrum?
We're waiting.
Well, I mean, it's not my claim, but I hear you. But like, I mean, I'm saying that like when I say the word buoyancy and you're imposing gravity on that, I'm saying that it's just a term that explains something floating.
No, it's not. It's invoking gravity. Hold on. Have you looked up what buoyancy means?
I'm not as versed in buoyancy now.
Well, why are you telling me what it means?
Well, what I'm saying, no, I understand that there's a mathematical equation that goes with it, but there's also the term of.
It's all right. No worries, Issa. If you're
I'll
not
tell you
that
what,
well
I'm gonna go.
versed,
I'll tell you what, we're
Issa,
going to the etymological dictionary.
calm
bro.
down.
Let's find out.
Issa, hello. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the disclaimer that you're invoking a term you don't know the meaning of. That would be buoyancy. To give an explanation for a non-force force that you can think of as a force that's down at 9.8 meters per second and universally applicable. Issa, please. Please. Yeah? So, yeah, you're invoking this term buoyancy, and I'm saying I do know what buoyancy means. It invokes gravity. It's got a description of things around the surrounding environment being pulled down to force the other things up. So there's ultimately a down involved of gravity. When you say buoyancy, that's what it means.
We're in the etymological world now, though.
So in other words, are you saying, Nathan, that the buoyancy is, and what they're saying is buoyancy is just the displacement of the air that's being pushed up by the matter that's heavier?
Yeah, the air around it's pulled down
and occupying that space.
No, you're saying that it's the differential of G applied to the two objects, the medium and the object, and it's those differentials of the downward pull. You're invoking a downward pull to cause the differential, the displacement. Yeah, it's that.
Hey, the word
caused
comes from buoy, which means to float. So again, we superimpose gravity.
Sorry,
Therefore-
has Issa got hold of an etymological dictionary or something?
You're damn fucking right.
Right.
Damn fucking
There's a
right.
difference
It
between
means to
etymology
float.
and definition, though.
It means to float.
The etymology means that.
Yes.
So how come
the definition?
how come
Yeah, the
a
definition
20
of the
pound,
fucking word,
How
yes.
come, Isa, how
To
come
float.
a 20-pound block of iron sinks, but the same iron could be shaped into a hull and floats?
Hey, you know what? How long's a piece of string?
I knew you do. You're doing the same thing you did to Brian. See, Brian is right at the end of the day.
Yeah, I am 100% right. This fella thinks he's clever. He thinks he's above us. He thinks that he knows something that we don't know. You know, it's just usual. It's just arrogance. You know, he's
Bro,
not
you're
to be
just
trusted.
projecting right now, dude.
I'll be
You're
looking
just
out for him. I'll
projecting.
be watching my back with this guy. This guy is trouble. Mark my words.
Well, we can. Let me just point out to Issa. Issa, I'm. You sound like the faction. Not to. I'm not. You know, you're my bro, but you sound like the faction of ballers. You sound like the faction of ballers that say that's not my claim. And Akumu is one of those guys. I'm not claiming that. You know, they'll say that's not my claim when we detail to them what the model claims. That's not how this
Hold
works.
on. No. Look. All
Why
I
was
said
I
was
mentioned?
fucking buoyancy and density, right? So all I'm saying is that the word means to float. So I asked you, what would you call a piece of wood floating on water? And you said piece of wood floating on water.
Tony
I'm using
Purcell,
the term
driftwood.
buoyant in the sense of like, you know, hey, this is what it means to float. You're
Yeah,
superimposing
driftwood.
gravity, and you're giving them their win by giving them that argument. Just so you
No,
know.
phenomena,
that's
Issa.
PhD Tony Purcell, driftwood.
Nothing happening.
See
It's
the
not a
nothing
phenomena.
clips.
Right. The thing is, Issa, in terms of the buoyancy that's applied when they say buoyancy, right? They've got an downward vector that's automatically in place for that phenomena to happen.
Only because you give them that.
Oh, my
you
God.
let them superimpose
My
that on
God.
the word. man.
My God. My bad. My middle of sentence interrupted you, Issa. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, forgive me, Nathan. I don't want to spar with you. What I'm saying is that
They're invoking a downward vector force when you just describe something floating. Yeah? A
well,
buoyant.
my thing is this. They
My
are.
bad.
Hold on,
Second
listen,
time in a row.
brother.
My bad. Sorry, the middle of my sentence interrupted you for the second time, Issa. Go ahead.
Forgive me, dude.
No,
All I'm
just
saying
let
is
him
that they
finish.
are
He's
invoking
done.
gravity, and then you're allowing them to invoke gravity on a term that just means to float.
Yeah, I'll try again. There is a force involved when nothing's happening. Wood floats. That's not a phenomena. Yet in their world with gravity, there is a force involved when it's in equilibrium. That's gravity. Now, they're invoking it when they say buoyancy.
I agree with you. I just think that it's the misuse of the term. It also means just to float.
Everyone on
So
this
gravity
panel
means
has
just to
disagreed
float
with
now.
you, and you
No,
think
gravity
you're
means
right.
weight. Buoyancy means to float.
Yeah, but
No.
gravity's involved in buoyancy. In their world.
Only in the modern sense of the term.
In modern
The
sense
way
of what
that you
term? We're going to circle
superimposed
all the way
everything
back.
else with gravity.
You're not
Yeah, we're gonna
understanding
circle all the way
QE.
back.
Hold on. Let's level this out with Quantum Eraser. You're not understanding because you're not a Latin speaker from 100 years ago.
Oh, that's it.
No,
Oh,
I speak English, so the term is buoyancy.
So I can't. So didn't I just reconcile this a little while ago with the? I'm sorry,
I
you
could
did
have sworn
originally
we were in
with the
modern times.
etymological fallacy, right?
I'm just saying you're overcomplicating your terms.
No, I'm not. I'm saying you're invoking an etymological fallacy, and I've shown it.
I think you're practicing one. So what?
Yeah, that's right. So you're going to shift it back onto me, but I demonstrated exactly what you were doing by definition.
Do you want me to put the definition of buoyant in the fucking thing?
No. I want you to put the
I'll get it
definition
for
of etymological fallacy and read it aloud for everyone.
Don't worry, I'll put it in here for you.
So I'll go ahead and read it because you don't do well with my stuff. This is what you are doing precisely, exactly. The etymological fallacy is a genetic fallacy that holds that the present day meaning of a word or phrase should necessarily be similar to its historical meaning. You are guilty of that exact thing.
Yeah, it's an etymological fallacy, as pointed out by me as soon as it was committed. Also reiterated over and over again by Quantum Eraser. Thank you very much for actually reading out the definition, though, because I couldn't be bothered to go and get it, because I'm lazy. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Also, link below this video, there is a link to get £50 back for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!